Is a beautiful Monday night. I hope you had a great start to your week. I got to watch some Goodfellas today. We got to make a very fun video. I can't wait for you to see, not tomorrow, but the next day. And let's not waste your time. Let's not waste my time. Let's go hop in a real money fantasy football draft like we do every single night. And as we wait for this to load, because we're already filled here, I just have to give you a massive thank you. I mean, I've gone on record saying if we hit 90,000 subscribers on the channel, we will go ahead and fire up a 24-hour live stream, a 24-hour draft marathon. Y'all know I already live stream these drafts every single night for about 3 hours. So if you want to come draft with us, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. And hell, like I said, if we hit 90,000 subs, we will get that 24-hour live stream going. But y'all have showed so much support to the channel over the past 2 days where I think we're going to get there, ladies and gentlemen. I said 90,000 as a goal because I thought it was impossible. And I don't know how I would do a 24-hour live stream. Like, God knows how much caffeine I would need. But regardless, we pulled the 106 here, and I'm not going to lie, I am not a fan of the 106. No, I'm not. I mean, sometimes we reach for an elite level wide receiver like Stephon Diggs. Now Diggs is actually seeing his ADP climb up to where usually Diggs is the 7th pick off the board. I don't exactly know what we're going to do here. Maybe we'll mix it up and go Austin Eckler, because if you were in this live stream last night, you got to see an unbelievable Austin Eckler start from us. Now, we took Eckler at 7, but we had Najee Harris making it back to the second round. So maybe Eckler's our lucky guy. Maybe if we want to have just a disgusting, a nasty live draft, we need to go through. We need to take Eckler. But you have Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Jefferson all off the board. The standard top 3, now the standard top 4. So I'm going to assume that here you have this team taking a Jamar Chase. Yeah, they go Jamar Chase. You know what? F it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. We're going to take Stephon Diggs. Now, please hear me out, guys. On Underdog, if you are new here, you get some ridiculous second round running back value. Like I said, last night in the live stream, we had Najee freaking Harris making it back to us in the second round. One of my favorite 6th round targets this year is going to be maybe a J.K. Dobbins we can grab. I don't know. We will figure it out. But after we take Stephon Diggs, you have Austin Eckler going right away, then Travis Kelce at pick 8. Now, let me give a shout out to some people out there in the chat because we have a crazy amount of people here already. Let's give a shout out to Mason, Omar, Trevor, Carson, Baseball, Caden, O'Deer, Tyler, Flair, Hemi, Sharkboy, Jack, Lucas, Ghosted Wide Receiver. Okay, we have a ton of regulars out here in this live stream. And if y'all were out last night, y'all know we hit 1,000 likes in the stream, which was very special. We had 1,000 live viewers as well. So please, if y'all have not done so already, go down there, drop that like in this live stream. And this is why we take Stephon Diggs round 1, ladies and gentlemen. Look at what these teams are doing. Look at the craziness you have in this draft. You have CeeDee Lamb at 9. You have Devontae Adams at 10. Derrick Henry's not off the board. Noah says you'll hit 90K and have a sweet sign to show it off. Oh, that would be so exciting, my man. Now, Henry finally goes off the board at 12. Guys, y'all have taken this too far, okay? Y'all have taken this too far. How do we live in a world where I understand CeeDee Lamb has a great situation in Dallas, but how are we living in a world where CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver, 16 last year, on a points per game basis, is going 4 picks before Derrick Henry? And I know a lot of people in the live chat are going to say, or in the comment section, oh, Mason, this never happens in drafts. No, guys, on Underdog Fantasy, Derrick Henry has an ADP of pick 9 now. Derrick Henry regularly falls here to the end of round 1 on Underdog Fantasy. Now, of course, if you want to go draft Derrick Henry on Underdog Fantasy, I got a way for you to do just that. Make sure you go to the link in the live chat, the link in the description of the video. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Get in some fun drafts with us like we do every single night. And get a 100% deposit match up to $100 when you use promo code FLOCK. Get our 2022 rankings, get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, and most importantly, have some fun and go be the guy that gets Derrick Henry at pick 12 and Dalvin Cook at pick 13. Dear God, look at what just happened. Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook on the same roster. And I thought my Austin Eckler, Najee Harris on the same roster last night was solid. Jack says, do you like Garrett Wilson or Elijah Moore in Dynasty? I'm going to be a Garrett Wilson guy. I think if you're looking at this upcoming season, since Elijah Moore already has his role locked in as that slot wide receiver with the departure of Jamison Crowder in New York, if we're talking just 2022 production, I am going to go ahead. I am going to just roll with Elijah Moore. But from a Dynasty perspective, where we're going to look at the entire careers of these players, Garrett Wilson, it definitely had a better prospect profile coming out of Ohio State. And ladies and gentlemen, we get Joe Mixon. Okay, so I know maybe you think I'm crazy. Maybe you think I've lost my mind when we go ahead and when we take Stephon Diggs over Austin Eckler. But this is why we did it. Because on Underdog, you're going to have that crazy running back value. We get Mixon at 19, and in my opinion, there's not that large of a gap between Austin Eckler and Joe Mixon this season. Yeah, I have Austin Eckler as my running back 3, but still, the gap between Stephon Diggs and then the wide receiver we could have taken here with Tyreek Hill is so much larger. Alfredo says, Drew P. Webbo's in the house. I'm very excited. Am I supposed to know who that is? But regardless, thank you, Alfredo, for coming out. Thank you for the support. Mr. Steph says, yo, this draft's about to be crazy for Mason. Yeah, guys. I mean, this is another draft where that team at 7, just like what we did last night on the live stream, and I thought I was so damn special. They go through, they roll with the start of Austin Eckler, Najee Harris. Now, based on how these first 2 rounds have gone, I definitely have something in mind for us to go through and make a play in the 3rd round. We'll figure out what happens. We'll figure it out. Joe says, are we just going to ignore the 8 spot? Yeah, the 8 spot goes ahead. They go with that bully tight end strategy with a combination of Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. We may play into this, okay? I don't want to say too much. I don't know if anybody in this draft is watching this live stream, so we got to keep this close for the time being until we're on the clock in the 3rd round. Josh Allen goes off the board. Allen would have 100% been a player that I would have considered taking, but let's see what we are now going to get here at pick 30. Okay, this team took DeAndre Swift and Jamar Chase through the first 2 rounds. They go Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts was going to be my play. I mean, if you were looking at that other team, going with the bully tight end strategy, and I honestly kind of prefer Kyle Pitts over all these wide receivers in a vacuum, I thought it was going to be a no-brainer. We were going to go ahead. We were going to take Kyle Pitts, but now at this point, I mean, I know that the majority of drafters are just taking Michael Pittman Jr. I'm not a massive Michael Pittman guy. Like, if I'm looking at Keenan Allen, who's averaged a top 12 finish over the past 3 seasons on a points per game basis, Keenan Allen, who's averaged 10 targets a game over the past 3 years, Keenan Allen, who's attached to Justin Herbert, and we are going to be supposed to draft a wide receiver outside the top 24 receivers on a points per game basis last year, Michael Pittman. I'm not doing it. I'm taking the guy where we've seen the production year in and year out, and at the same time has a better quarterback in his favor. Okay. Oh dear, wanted us to go Michael Pittman. Guys, I'm sorry. And Jason says, where do you rate Michael Pittman? Okay, so like I said, the easiest way to know any of my rankings is to go ahead to go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK so you can get my draft guide, get my top 150 rankings. But just because you took the time out of your day to come hang out with us in a live stream and ask this question, I'll be happy to go through and pull up my draft guide real quick and give you an exact answer of where I'm ranking Michael Pittman Jr. I don't want to try to go off the top of my head. I know we have Michael Pittman Jr. in our draft guide behind Keenan Allen, behind even DJ Moore, who DJ Moore on Underdog regularly goes about 4 or 5 picks behind him. But if I'm looking at my ranking of Michael Pittman, I have him at pick 38, directly behind Travis Etienne and Breece Hall. I have Michael Pittman in terms of our wide receiver rankings. Let's scroll this down. Wide receiver 16. So I am expecting Michael Pittman Jr. to get significantly better because from a points per game basis last year, he was the wide receiver 28. So I am expecting that he does take a step forward. But at the same time, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think that Matt Ryan is leagues better at this point than Carson Wentz. Now, yes, prime Matt Ryan is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz could ever dream to be. But Matt Ryan at this point of his NFL career, not the same player. Clint says, Team 6 and 7 looking good. Yeah, I got to admit, Team 7 looks better than us. I mean, being able to pair together Austin Eckler and Najee Harris, I got to give them their props. Like, great. Of course, I would have done the exact same thing if I was at their pick. So it's just kind of the way that the draft falls to you. But still, I don't want to take anything away from them. Team 7 so far is crushing this draft. I think we have a pretty solid start as well. I would have really enjoyed Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round rather than Keenan Allen. But you got to play the hand you're dealt. Now, at this point, I will go ahead. I'll take one of these running backs if they're going to make it to us. Snaz Apple, I've not seen you out in a long time, says Allen Robinson in the future second for Jerry Jeudy in a non-superflex format. I would say that I'm going to go ahead and take Jerry Jeudy from a dynasty fantasy football perspective. The long-term runway that you're going to have with Mr. Jerry Jeudy increasing his dynasty value, that's going to be my guy. Jerry Jeudy and Allen Robinson are right next to each other in my rankings this season. So I said we would take one of these running backs if they were to fall to us. I understand James Conner will 1,000% see some serious touchdown regression this upcoming season. Like, I promise you, James Conner is not going to be scoring as many touchdowns in 2022 that he did last year. But at the same time, if we're looking at the splits in games where Chase Edmonds didn't play alongside James Conner was actually used as a pass catcher. James Conner was actually a 3-down running back in those games. And got news for you. Chase Edmonds is now playing for the Miami Dolphins. So James Conner, an elite level offense, pick 43, going between Jerry Jeudy and Gabriel Davis. That's going to be a no-brainer for me. Christian says, back with some more advice needed. 10-team Superflex Dynasty Startup draft tonight. Got offered pick 11 in a future first for pick 6. What are your thoughts? Take it and run. Take it and run. That 2023 rookie class is disgusting. It's going to be one of the best rookie classes we've seen probably since 2020. I don't know if it'll be as good as 2020, but it'll be right there, possibly even better, maybe better than any class we've seen since 2017. Of course, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but if you only have to fall 5 picks back in the startup draft, you make that trade every day of the week. But now you get Breece Hall making it down to pick 48. When's the last time you saw Breece Hall fall that far? Dear God. Breece Hall pick 48. That is absolutely crazy. Okay, Justin Herbert off the board. So there are a couple different names that I'd be interested in here. Primarily 3 guys that I'd really like. Let's see what happens. Juju Smith-Schuster off the board. Not one of the guys I was looking at. B. Wells on the clock. This team so far has 2 running backs, 2 receivers. Their 2 running backs are Aaron Jones and Alvin Kamara. Their 2 wide receivers are Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson. They go Deontay Johnson. That was one of the guys we were wanting. Lamar goes right before us. That freaking sucks. The question is, can we get away reaching on Dobbins here? I was drafting Dobbins aggressively in the 6th round. Let's take another guy that I like betting on. Let's go Chris Godwin, and let's pray that Dobbins makes it back to us. Now, the issue is, I think based on the recent report that we got with J.K. Dobbins' health, I don't know if he's going to make it back to us here in the 5th round. So let's take Godwin. It would have been a significantly better pick if we were able to get Lamar Jackson or Deontay Johnson. But based on how this overall draft room is attacking this draft as well, I think that we can safely say, never mind. Never mind. I was going to say we would have had a better shot of J.K. Dobbins making it back to us at pick 67 than Chris Godwin because these teams were loading up on wide receivers. Like we saw Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook fall to pick 12 and 13, but it is what it is. Let me know what you would have done. Would you have taken Chris Godwin or J.K. Dobbins there? Sky Dude says, what up, Mason? How do I get in a draft with you? Okay, step A to get in the draft, even though I saw you this morning. You said you already signed up for Underdog, but for other people who don't know, step A is to go to the link in the description, go to the link in the live chat, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit $1 for $1 up to $100. You'll get our rankings, you'll get our draft guide, yada, yada, yada. Then step 2 to get in these drafts with us. There will be 2 different drafts that we run. There'll be private drafts where I'll send the link out in the live chats. In those private drafts, I will specify that this is a private draft. It's a $5 draft. It's a $10 draft. I will type that out and send it in the live chat, and I'll announce that out loud at the same time. However, when Underdog is running these tournaments like the Puppy 3 contest that should be open for the next couple days now, hell, it has over 200,000 drafts in it, 200,000 entries, and it looks like it's going to get filled in a couple days. But regardless, when they do have those tournaments, which is what we'll be doing tonight, Once this draft ends, I'm going to go to the public lobby. I'm going to enter that contest, and you'll enter that at the same time as me. But if you only have, say, $10 in your underdog account and you really don't want to risk it, you don't want to accidentally join the second draft, the third draft that I may not be in, then if I were you, I'll just wait until we do those private drafts. We do this every single night. We'll have a ton of private drafts for y'all. We'll have a ton of tournament drafts. I personally have the most fun in those tournament drafts. That's why I want to be firing those up right now. KV says, CeeDee Lamb, Rashad Bateman, Jerry Jeudy do all finish inside the top 20. If I had to bet on two guys to do it, it's easily CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy. I'm not a believer in Rashad Bateman. I'm not drafting Rashad Bateman at this price tag. I can't be the guy taking Bateman over J.K. Dobbins. I can't be taking Bateman over Brandon Cooks. He was a great prospect coming out of college, but there's no passing volume at all in Baltimore. And the passing volume that the Baltimore Ravens offense actually has, we know where that's going. Is that going to Rashad Bateman? Hell to the no. That's not going to Rashad Bateman. Instead, that is going to be going to a Mr. Mark Andrews, one of the most talented players in the NFL. And let me pull up my phone real quick. That way I can remember to drop a like on the live stream, because I can't ask you to drop a like on the stream if I've not done it myself. Jim Arrange coming out says, I'm going to try to hop in the next one. Hope that you get in, my man. Please stick around. Let's get this next draft going. It'll be a ton of fun. And now we have Drake London, 62. Drake London falling way later in drafts, about a month ago. I mean, I showed y'all that draft earlier this morning where I believe that draft was about 2 weeks old, and I got Drake London at pick 80. He is inside my top 10 players drafted so far. Completely fine seeing Drake London rise up draft boards. I mean, it hurts me. I wish we could get more of them, but it is what it is. Okay, QBot. This is a team that has a very strong start with the combination of Austin Eckler, Najee Harris. Then they go Michael Pittman round 3, Jerry Jeudy round 4. I don't love the Rashad Bateman pick round 5. Like, I would prefer to see them go Dobbins. They go Trey Lance. So we're going to get the blessing in disguise of taking Michael Thomas here. Like, dear God, Michael Thomas, still my most drafted wide receiver. I haven't been drafting him as much here in round 6 just because we have so much 8th round Michael Thomas from a couple months ago. I hope you were listening to us when I was annoying you by putting out a Michael Thomas video every single day. But still, now when we get Michael Thomas pick 67, especially in a draft where we are seeing people slide these wide receivers up, you have to take advantage, guys. You have to take advantage. I know it looks like we're just drafting big name players. Like, if you go through and you look at this, yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm the old head. Maybe I'm just going through drafting all these old guys where we know who they are. We're not going out on a really strong limb here. We're not going out of our way to draft some crazy people. No, we're just taking the value. We're taking the guys who we know can score fantasy points. And sometimes it's just that easy. Sometimes it's just that easy to win a fantasy football league. But I've never won one. Yes, I've played in thousands of fantasy football leagues. I've never won one yet, but I've been told this is what you're supposed to do. One of these days, I will win one of these leagues. That's why I'll probably do 600 drafts this offseason. And 600 drafts on average, if you were just an average drafter in their 12-team leagues, what you should expect to win, I'm no mathematician, but 50 of them? Let me see. I'm just going to embarrass myself. Let's just call it about 50. Now, all I need is one. And then we'll be finally, my life will be complete. I can shut down the YouTube channel. I'll be finally happy. But Mr. Breezy coming out says, 6th pick in a 12-team full PPR, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex dynasty startup. Should I take Lamb, Najee Harris, or DeAndre Swift? Okay, in my opinion, you're just going to be going with Najee Harris. I mean, sometimes just taking the 3-down bell cow running back on their rookie contract in Dynasty is the way to go about it. Okay, guys. Am I missing something here? What the hell has happened for Josh Jacobs to fall to pick 78? Oh my gosh. Guys, I don't know. I've drafted a lot of Josh Jacobs as well. Like, I feel like a genius for drafting a ton of Michael Thomas and seeing his ADP rise. At the same time, maybe I just got lucky because I drafted a ton of Josh Jacobs, and I was taking Josh Jacobs at the beginning of the 6th round, in the middle of the 6th round, and now Jacobs never even really goes there. Jacobs usually goes at the end of the 6th. I've never seen him fall this far. I've never seen him fall to pick 78. I've never seen Tony Pollard go before him. Oh my gosh. Josh Jacobs, 78. Guys, let me know if I'm missing something in the live chat here. Like I was saying, I've never won a fantasy football league before. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm clicking buttons. But Foster Broad says he has seen Josh Jacobs pick 90. What is going on? Am I losing my mind? Okay. I don't know. I don't know. We're going to take it. If I'm missing something, I'm missing something. Okay. But at the end of the day, Josh Jacobs has averaged a running back 14 finish over the past 3 years. He averaged 4 targets a game last year. And at the same time, hell, this should be the best offense he's ever played in. I'm taking Jacobs at 78. Okay. Craig coming out says no question today, but Bronco country, let's ride. Hopefully we got that right. I don't know, but thank you so much for the support, my friend. I truly appreciate it. And I see some people in the live chat thinking I was being serious about never winning a fantasy football league. Guys, come on. We're allowed to joke here. Y'all know I've at least won one. Guys, I've played in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fantasy football leagues. I've at least won one of those bad boys. At least you would want to assume for my sake. Okay, now go Birds on the clock. They have not taken a running back. They still decide to avoid the running back position despite Antonio Gibson falling now to the 8th round. Oh, dear God. What are we going to do here? Tom Brady goes pick 88. If Gibson falls, do we just have the all hated running back core? I guess so. Hawkinson was my other play because the other team went bully tight end early on. But let's go ahead. Let's take Antonio Gibson. We're going to go with just a running back core full of guys that people hate. I mean, is there a running back core more hated than what we have right now? Joe Mixon, James Conner, Josh Jacobs, and Antonio Gibson at running back. I feel like the donkey in the room. I feel like the fish, but it's all about the value. 7th round, Josh Jacobs. 8th round, Antonio Gibson. These are guys on their rookie contracts. These aren't prototypical dead zone running backs. And this is why also, let me reiterate, this is why I go Stephon Diggs in round 1. So I can take these running backs here, and I'm not having to draft Marquez Valdes-Scantling over Antonio Gibson. So please let me know what y'all are thinking. But we have Shelby coming out. Thank you so much. Says 12-team half PPR keeper league. Would you trade Michael Thomas? Would you keep Michael Thomas for an 8th round, Austin Eckler for a 1st, or CeeDee Lamb for a 3rd? Please let me know how many keepers are kept because that's definitely going to affect the player pool and what's available in each round. So please don't feel the need to donate to answer that question. But let me know how many players are kept because if 6 players are kept per team, then that 1st round pick's not going to be worth a whole lot. Same thing with that 3rd. But if only 1 player's kept per team, it's going to be very hard to ever keep a player in the 1st round. Okay. Ryan says, a 14-team PPR, Henry, Jones, Pittman, Sutton, Waller, and Thielen. I mean, I think, a 14-team league, even though y'all know I'm not a massive Courtland Sutton fan, after the Tim Patrick injury, this looks like a team that has a lot of upside. If it was a 10-team league, I'd say, sorry, man, I'm not about it. But in a 14-team format, I do like that. Okay, so now we have a decent amount of running backs off the board. Yes, we kind of want to push these tight ends up the draft board because we had a couple teams take elite level tight ends early on the same roster, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to instead just go with the wide receiver here. I mean, I'm not taking Damian Harris. I'm not taking Devin Singletary. If Kareem Hunt would have made it to us, of course I would have drafted Kareem Hunt. But now we are just adding to this wide receiver core in a best ball format. I think it's going to be the play. At wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Michael Thomas, and Tyler Lockett. But oof, this is a tough one. Very, very tough. Okay. So let me go through. Let me find Shelby's answer to our question real quick and how many players are being kept. I feel like our team's going to be so polarizing here. Like, I understand why people would be off Jacobs. Like, I hated Jacobs 2 years ago at his price point. But here in the 7th round, not much has changed. Okay, so Shelby says one keeper. Okay, one keeper. It's going to be so hard to keep anybody in the first round if it's going to be a one keeper format. In that format in particular, it would be pretty interesting to keep Thomas in the 8th. Because if we think through this, we can assume that probably about the best 10 players are kept in the league. So if you're going through and sacrificing your first round pick, you're going to be sacrificing, say, a Deebo Samuel and Michael Thomas for Austin Eckler. That's essentially what it come down to. You have to ask yourself this question. In your league, how do you value depth versus studs? Would you be willing to trade Michael Thomas and one of these players that is being drafted in the second round? Let's just use Joe Mixon as the example. Would you rather have Michael Thomas and Joe Mixon or Austin Eckler? That's going to be an answer for you, my man. Okay. So let's scroll this down. I'm sorry, not my man. I need to stop saying that. I say that after every sentence. But Devin Singletary, Kenneth Walker off the board. Walker would have been someone I would have been excited about on the way back around. Isaiah Spiller now off. I know we don't have a quarterback. We don't have a tight end yet. But I like this wide receiver value. I mean, in my opinion, Garrett Wilson is easily the last guy in this tier. If you're going to go ahead, if you were going to look at the raw ceiling that he has from a prospect perspective, like it is one of the craziest things in the world. One of the craziest things in the world that you have Garrett Wilson here going behind multiple rookies that were drafted on day 3 of this year's NFL draft. Jalen Tolbert, actually round 3, I apologize, not day 3. Jalen Tolbert, a round 3 wide receiver out of South Alabama who stayed all 4 years. Yeah, he was impressive on a production standpoint, but it was South Alabama. Of course he's going to be. And then Isaiah Spiller, a 4th round running back drafted out of Texas A&M, obviously landing in a pretty solid situation. But, that is a tough one. Rolando coming out says, purchase your rankings. Would anything change in the rankings if the league is full PPR? The rankings are for full PPR. When you get our draft guide, of course, you can get our draft guide, our rankings by going and making that deposit on Underdog Fantasy or either through flockfantasy.com. It may be confusing because you get the draft guide and the rankings because you signed up for Underdog Fantasy and made that $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK, but they're not Underdog rankings. It's not an Underdog draft guide. It's rankings and a draft guide for your regular 12-team, 10-team, 1-quarterback PPR casual redraft league. Hugh says, Mason, how do I talk to girls? I don't know, man. I have never spoken to a girl outside of the live chat. I've spoken to girls through the live chat before, which always does get me a little excited. I usually get pretty nervous. You can tell that I'm sweating if I see a girl name in the live chat. I don't know, man. That's out of my league. I barely know how to draft a fantasy football team. Okay, let's scroll this down. Now, if we end up getting Aaron Rodgers at pick 126, this is the perfect draft. Adam says, Mason, how's the girlfriend doing? The girlfriend left me a long time ago, guys. Come on. What do you expect? I do these live streams every single night. She told me, Mason, it's either the flock or it's me. And I said, who are you? Okay. All jokes aside, she's doing well. She's doing well. Okay, let's scroll down. We take Aaron Rodgers here. Aaron Rodgers is the easiest selection in the world. What's beautiful about this Aaron Rodgers pick is not only are we getting a crazy value on Rodgers here in the 11th round, but at the same time, we are going to be able to possibly bring back Christian Watson. In my opinion, possibly a wide receiver that could be the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay. Obviously, he's not being drafted as if he's going to, but everybody and their mom loves Romeo Doubs at this point. Everybody thinks that Christian Watson's the wide receiver 3 here in Green Bay. I'm not buying into it. I'm looking at the capital. I'm looking at the prospect profile. I'm rolling with our guy, Christian Watson, really hoping that we get him available to us in the 12th round. Okay, so Rachaad White goes pick 129. Probably good for us. Obviously, White was sitting there at the top of ADP outside of Aaron Rodgers. But there's just no reason for us to take Rachaad White here. I mean, we have a running back core already that's pretty damn strong. I mean, you're looking at Joe Mixon, James Conner, Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson. In reality, what other running backs do we even need to bring in here? I'd be fine drafting one more running back at the very end of this draft. I mean, I think we do have a ton of upside and some locked in touches as well with those guys specifically at the very top. And at wide receiver, we have the elite level team with Diggs, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Michael Thomas, Tyler Lockett, Garrett Wilson. So we really just need to hope we get Christian Watson to pick 139. We get Robert Tonyan at the very end of this draft. And then it's GG for everyone. Y'all wish you had this team. You wish you were as good at drafting as us. But you can't be, guys. Can't be. I'm sorry. Now, Julio Jones goes 132, Michael Gallup 133. Gallup's another player that I am very excited about drafting when he does fall to us. But we're on a mission. We're on a mission for one name and one name in particular, guys. This is that player. Fall. You know you always fall. Come on, give us Christian Watson. If we don't get Christian Watson, Alexander Mattison will be our fifth and final running back. Maybe we go Irv Smith Jr. here just because, and I repeat, just because. I usually don't like drafting Irv Smith Jr. at his ADP, but if we were to take him, he would have fallen 10 picks past his ADP. And at the same time, those teams at the very beginning of the draft did go through and they stacked up all the elite level tight ends on the same roster. Mark Award says, don't sleep on that dark horse like button. Yeah, I heard that like button over there, as well as the subscribe button, I heard they're massive sleepers this year. Like, I don't know. If I were you, I'd try hitting that like button, maybe subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell next to the subscribe button, seeing what happens. I've been told it makes all your dreams come true. Now, I can't confirm nor deny if that is factually accurate. KJ Hamler goes 137. Guys, how damn good am I at this? How good are we at this? As we take the wide receiver 3 for the Green Bay, obviously, no, we're taking the wide receiver 2 at the minimum, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring in Christian Watson. Let's go through, stack up in another wide receiver with a ton of upside on this team, with a team where we go through and take Rodgers at pick 126. Like, what else can you ask for? Literally, we're putting on a clinic here. This is like you watching Michael Jordan. This is like you watching LeBron James in action, okay? You're going to be able to tell your grandkids about this. You know that? You are going to be able to tell your grandkids, oh, Sonny, come here. Let me tell you a story. It was August 8th, 2022. I remember it like it was yesterday. I ate dinner, went to relax, turned on the Fantasy Flock live stream, and I saw the greatest of all time do it. He picked his opponents. He picked his enemies apart one by one. He constructed just a ridiculous draft. Value across the board, correlation across the board, making everyone else look like fools. You're going to be able to tell your grandkids that story, okay? I'm doing this for you guys. I'm doing this for you. Okay. So now we have Gesicki going 146. We definitely need tight ends making it back to us, guys. We have no tight ends at this point. And also remember, we had these teams pushing up tight ends dramatically at the beginning of the draft. So now that we have Albert O off the board, oh dear God, this is going to be a little nerve-wracking. Let me know, who do y'all want? I'm throwing y'all a bone here. Pick a running back for us. Lawrence, not going to be intriguing for me. Winston, we'll take him if we get him on the way back around to pair up with Michael Thomas. But I think we possibly just take our last running back. We're not going to have any of these guys available to us on the way back around. So let me know who you're wanting. Adam says Rojo. We have Cameron saying James Robinson. JN says James Robinson. Everybody's saying James Robinson. Let's go ahead. Let's take James Robinson. Obviously, we had the report that James Robinson is taking first team reps in Jacksonville. Now, I'm not saying James Robinson's the starting running back here. I still easily prefer Travis Etienne, and it's going to be a no-brainer. I will say I'm not nearly as excited about drafting Travis Etienne in round 3 as we once were. That's why we stopped taking him in round 3. I only take Travis Etienne if he falls about 6-7 picks past his ADP at this point. But still, I mean, hell, there is upside with this James Robinson 13th round selection. Pick 150. Let's go ahead. Let's make it. Jayan says Colin Johnson getting work with the ones. I'm not buying it, my man. I'm not buying it. I will say I'm rooting for Colin Johnson. I had psychology with Colin Johnson. It would be pretty cool to see our guy do well, but it is what it is. Joshua says no love for Herbert. No, I'm not a Herbert guy. Really not. Okay, so Romeo Dubs, whatever you want to call him, goes off the board 151. About 12 picks behind Christian Watson. Herbert 153. Those other guys that we were looking at in Ronald Jones and Michael Carter not going anywhere. Jameson Williams off the board. Williams would have been a wide receiver that I would have been interested in taking if it weren't for the fact that I think we may not go 8 wide receivers with this build. If we get a crazy value, yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll go 8 wide receivers. But this is a team where we possibly have to take both 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends. Robert Tonyan, pick 156. Why are you doing that to us? Oh, no. Tonyan was easily the guy we were wanting on the way back around. Pair up with Rodgers. I think with Robert Tonyan, it's very comparable to all these tight ends in the previous 3 rounds. Oh, tight end is getting tough, guys. It is getting tough. Mind Trick says, are you doing a puppy draft or a best ball mania after this? I've maxed out best ball mania. We are only doing puppies from here. We're either going to do a puppy when puppy drafts are open on Underdog Fantasy, but once the puppy draft gets filled, then what we are sliding over to is going to be, wait for it, private drafts. We're going to get private drafts going where I'll be able to send those links out in the live chat for y'all to join. But hopefully we get some more wide receivers, running backs off the board. We're definitely done at running back. So seeing someone who would take Brian Robinson, I apologize, would be very good for us. Isaiah McKenzie off the board 160. Paris Campbell 161. Good. Get these wide receivers flowing. Let's look at these teams behind us. All these teams behind us. B. Wells, 1 quarterback. A 1 for Fun, 1 quarterback. Case Cards, 1 quarterback. Fat Prodigy, 1 quarterback. Guys, they all have 1 quarterback. These quarterbacks are about to fly off the board. We said we would take Winston on the way back around if he fell. We have Michael Thomas here. We need another quarterback. The pick's Jameis Winston. It's going to be a no-brainer. I'm honestly maybe not even going to stop at quarterback here in the 17th round. If we can get Zach Wilson, we may go ahead and take Zach Wilson. But we have the recovery with a massive donation. Long time no see, my friend. Says, Young Flock, I'm back and ready for another year. Here's my squad. We got Dak Prescott, Deebo Samuel, Mike Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Darren Waller, Brandon Cooks, Dallas defense, Young Hoku. My bench is Cordell Patterson, Adam Thielen, Kareem Hunt, Robert Woods, Ramondre Stevenson, and Chris Olave. Okay. Real quick before I look at this, of course, thank you so much for the support, my man, and super happy to see that you're back. If y'all don't know, the recovery is always hanging out in these streams during the season. Please go to the live chat. Do not feel the need to donate. Please do not donate. I'm going to search for your question. Let me know how many teams are in your league and the starting lineup requirements for your league. That's going to be able to give me a much better sense of the overall context of this, because if this is an 8-team league, I'm sitting here going, probably not that good. If it's a 10-team league, I'm like, oh, solid team. 12-team league, I'm like, oh, dear God, this is the best thing that's ever hit the earth. So please let me know how many teams are in your league as well as the starting lineup requirements. Okay. Now we have Daniel Jones 168. Let's see what happens on the way back around. Obviously, we really want Tyler Higbee. Mac Jones goes 169. Hendricks says, tight end looking scary for you, Mason. Oh, it's terrifying for us. The recovery says 10-team league, half PPR. Okay, I really like it. I mean, I will say one thing that I think you can do to just maximize upside for before the season starts. There's nothing that can happen from this day on August 8th until the start of the season for the Dallas Cowboys or for Young Hoku to dramatically increase their trade value. Like, I would go through, I'd probably cut the Dallas Cowboys defense, not even have a defense going into the season, pick up an extra running back on your bench, try to find someone that you believe has access to upside if an injury were to occur in front of them. Like, say, just as an example, of course, go look for a running back that you like even more than this, but go use the roster spot on Donta Foreman. Go use it on Tyrion Davis-Price. Go use it on Brian Robinson. Go use it on one of those running backs where if the starter were to go down, all of a sudden you have a player that has a tremendous amount of trade value. And if that doesn't happen, well, who the hell cares? Cut that player right before the season starts when you actually need to start a defense. So I love the team, but I would go through, I would just try to optimize for that last roster spot and see if we can pick up another high-end upside running back. Jeff says, hi Mason, did we have a video recapping how well you did last season on Underdog? If y'all don't know, a couple of years ago, back when I did not put way too much money into fantasy football drafts, I used to have a blackboard behind us, and I used to have my Dynasty fantasy football entire portfolio record updated on the board at the end of every single week. I was wanting to continue to do that, but the thing is, at the end of the day, when our channel gets too large, where not everybody has like a genuine one-on-one connection with us, and at the same time, when I'm spending that much money on fantasy football drafts, it comes off very arrogant. I really don't like when people go out and talk on Twitter about how much money they make, how much money they spend in fantasy football drafts. Of course, I'll definitely clickbait you. I'll say I spent $1,000 in this fantasy football draft, and I'll go through and I will highlight that one draft. But it leaves a very bad taste in my mouth when someone says, look how much money I made in fantasy football. Look how much money I made this year. So no, we are not going to do that unless I win Best Ball Mania. If I win a puppy draft, if I win Best Ball Mania, if I win this puppy 3 contest and I win $200,000, oh, you're never going to hear the end of it. You are never going to hear the end of it. I guarantee you that. But Van Jefferson goes 180, Kendrick Bourne 181. We were still desperate for tight end value. We take Noah Fant here, pick 174, but it would have been significantly better if we ended up getting Tyler Higbee, making it back to us one spot. It is what it is. Let's figure it out. Okay, so Raheem Mostert goes off the board 182. Let's see if we can get one of Evan Ingram, Austin Hooper. J.D. McKissick 183. Okay, so we have 2 teams before us that only have 1 tight end. There are also 2 teams before us that only have 1 quarterback. Let's see. DTW on the clock. They only have Tom Brady. They only have Dawson Knox. Why would you take like Isaiah? Like, what are you doing taking Isaiah McKenzie there where you did? If that's your wide receiver core and you don't have quarterback tight end depth whatsoever. This team on the clock only has TJ Hawkinson at tight end. This is the team that was able to pull Austin Eckler and Najee Harris at the very beginning of the draft. Austin Hooper goes, oh dear God. Oh dear God. I guess we need to take a third quarterback based on our structure, given the best ball format. We have Garrett Wilson. I don't love it. I definitely don't. At this point, we're just going to queue up tight ends the rest of the way. And real quick, as soon as we hit 400 likes on the live stream, we will just go and fire into our second draft. So if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. And yeah, if you look at a couple of those teams behind us, they only have 1 quarterback. I do think we see some quarterbacks go off the board before our next pick. We want the correlation there with Garrett Wilson. We needed another quarterback regardless. All these tight ends after us are about the same. Like the difference between, say, friggin' Taysom Hill and Logan Thomas, there's not a massive difference for us. So let's go ahead. Let's take Zach Wilson here. And we have another massive donation coming out from Finn. Thank you so much. This 10-team league, full PPR, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. In parentheses, I know. What am I doing with my life? Okay, at least you know that this is the best format. It says Lamar, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and Elijah Mitchell. I also have Drake London, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chase Edmonds, and Devonta Smith on the bench. Shaky with running back. What are your suggestions? No, you are perfectly fine here, my man. This is one of the best teams that I've ever seen. Even though it's a 10-team format, you have the elite level quarterback. If anything, what I would be looking to do is not shore up the running back position. It's because your wide receivers and running back are so strong. And it's not just because, yeah, I'm sure you crushed the draft. Obviously, you're a good player. This is your team. But everybody's going to have very strong running backs and wide receivers in a 10-team format, especially when the starting lineup requirements are so small. So what you can actually do to get an elite advantage over your league mates is you need that elite level tight end. Go out there and overpay for Travis Kelce. Like, go out there and package together TJ Hawkinson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Devonta Smith and try to get a Travis Kelce, a Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts. Obviously, you may look like you're overpaying on paper, but you're going to have the roster spots to just go ahead and pick up some more running backs and wide receiver off waivers. Well, let's go ahead. Let's take Taysom Hill. I don't want to talk about it. Let's go and let's fire into our next draft. But first, I do need to queue up a couple other tight ends here just so we can get a third guy and we can try to cycle them through in a best ball format. Okay. So we are going to be hopping into a puppy draft. So if you want to join with us, here you go. And if you do not know what a puppy draft is, if you do not know what website we are drafting on, where we draft every single night, you must have been living under a rock because I say it every 5 seconds. But we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. Easily the most fun place you can do your 2022 fantasy football drafts. We do it every single night on the live stream. We are firing up real money drafts because their best ball takes a total of 0 seconds of your time during the season for weekly management. So you can focus in on the teams that you really care about during the season. And when you go and sign up to draft with us on Underdog Fantasy or to draft with your friends or to draft in a public lobby and you use promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You'll get our 2022 rankings, our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. You'll be able to have some fun with us in the live stream in these drafts. You can find that link in the description, find it in the live chat. But Buckus Rocks has just got Josh Jacobs on Underdog at 93. Oh my, I may have burned way too much money on Josh Jacobs this offseason, guys. If Josh Jacobs is now going at 93, well, I want to flex on y'all with the Michael Thomas value that we've gotten with a ton of the players we've been able to pick up before their ADPs have steamed. I can't lie to you. I got a lot of Josh Jacobs in the 6th round. If Josh Jacobs is now going in the 8th, those Josh Jacobs teams probably are going to be losing some money. Jordan coming out. Thank you, my man. I see you out here. Appreciate you. Now we have Jonathan Taylor, CMC, Justin Jefferson off the board with the first 3 picks here. The recovery says, what's your Waller and Brandon Cooks outlook for this year? Brandon Cooks, very simple. I think you can rely on him as a low-end wide receiver too. The issue is just with the overall production in the offense, he doesn't have the elite level ceiling. The touchdown rate's going to be severely capped in Houston. I know some people like Davis Mills, but the Houston Texans have the worst over-under, the worst win total according to Las Vegas in the entire NFL. At the same time, I just don't think Davis Mills is that good. I don't think that Houston offense is going to be anything. So Brandon Cooks is a high floor, low ceiling player. And I love me some Darren Waller. With where Darren Waller is going, I think you are getting a discount because Devontae Adams coming over. You should be getting that discount because Devontae Adams should be able to command a high target share. But hell, I'm completely fine paying the price for Waller now. And we are going to get Derrick Henry at 10. Drafters on Underdog have gone too far. They've gone too far. I feel like at the beginning of the offseason, I went from the guy telling everybody that Derrick Henry was overvalued to now maybe being a Derrick Henry fan when he's going this late on Underdog. Mind Trick says, plan on doing any more private drafts. Can't get in with you anymore. Yes, we are going to get way more private drafts going for everybody on Underdog this offseason. I just maxed out Best Ball Mania. So when there are these tournament drafts like the Puppy 3, I'm going to fire up these tournament drafts. But because I maxed out Best Ball Mania, when these puppy drafts fill, what option do I have other than to do private drafts? So we will be firing up a bunch of private drafts. Don't you worry. Now, Saquon Barkley goes. So we get Joe Mixon. We get to pair up Joe Mixon and Derrick Henry on the same roster. Back-to-back Joe Mixon drafts here. Y'all know how much I love Joe Mixon this year. I have Joe Mixon ranked as a top 5 running back in fantasy. Jordan says 12th and 13th pick in a PPR format. I took Jamar Chase and Aaron Jones. All top running backs were gone except Leonard Fournette, Saquon Barkley, and Aaron Jones. But Diggs and Kelsey were there. What are your thoughts? Okay, I really like it. No idea how the hell you got Jamar Chase to fall to you at pick 12, but Jamar Chase has the upside to go for 2,000 receiving yards this year. As crazy as that sounds, trust me, I know I sound like a crazy person, but I think that in Cincinnati, if they push the pace of play, given the offensive line improvements that they've seen, you do have a ridiculous ceiling there in Cincinnati. So, yes, I like that start. With Aaron Jones, if you look at the splits in games where Devontae Adams misses, Aaron Jones is truly an elite level pass catcher out of the backfield on par with someone like a Christian McCaffrey. We have Gabriel says, hey, can you say Team Gabby's going back-to-back? Team Gabby, back-to-back championships here. Nobody else has a shot. Okay. Now we have Tyreek Hill going 21. Mark Andrews pick 20. Javonte Williams 22. Christian says, nobody is putting up 2,000 yards receiving. Cooper Kupp was about 40 yards away from doing it last year. I think it's in the range of outcomes now with a 17-game seasons for a wide receiver this season to get 2,000 receiving yards. I'm not saying it's likely. Of course, if you were a betting man, you bet it doesn't happen. Just through the game of probabilities. When I say it's in the range of outcomes, if it's a top 5 percentile outcome, well, that means 95% of the time it doesn't happen. But knowing how we are supposed to be drafting our fantasy football teams, knowing the upside that we're supposed to be chasing specifically in the first round, hell, if this Cincinnati Bengals offense continues the efficiency they had last year, pushes the pace of play where they're running significantly more plays per game, I don't know what the ceiling's going to be for this Bengals offense. Jamar Chase led the NFL last year with his first full year starting in adjusted yards per pass attempt. Now he has a star wide receiver going into year 2, T. Higgins going into year 3, and he led the NFL in sacks last year, and now, according to PFF, has a top 10 offensive line. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think there are a couple wide receivers that have it in the range of outcomes to go over 2,000 receiving yards. Not saying it's possible, but I'm sorry, not saying it's likely, but I am saying it's possible. I think those guys are Jefferson, Kupp, Chase, Diggs. Anybody else were to do it, I would be beyond surprised. Like, I'd bet the house that nobody else does that. But those 4 guys in particular, it's not likely, but I think it's possible one of them can do it. Okay, so we have Mike Williams, Michael Pittman. You have Leonard Fournette falling pretty damn far here. Leonard Fournette falling to pick 28 is not something you see every day. Now, we started with back-to-back elite running backs with the combination of Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon. James Conner goes 31. Probably great for us. I mean, it's not like we're sitting here praying that we get James Conner. We're going to easily take either Josh Allen or Kyle Pitts here. I don't love taking third-round Josh Allen on a build where we didn't take Stephon Diggs. But very rarely are you getting Josh Allen to fall to at pick 34. Josh Allen does have the possibility of just being the highest scoring fantasy football player this upcoming season. When we take Josh Allen, we're only going to have to go ahead and draft one other quarterback. So I think we do put ourselves in an interesting spot. Now, the issue is I'm not reaching on Gabriel Davis here, pick 39. I'm not doing it. I know a lot of smart people would say, Mason, you take Josh Allen here. You have to take Gabriel Davis. I can't, okay? I'm sorry. I can't. And I don't love the Dawson Knox. We'll figure it out. Let's go ahead. Let's take Terry McLaurin as our first wide receiver off the board. If this was a league where you didn't have to start 3 wide receivers every single week, instead, if you only had to start 2 wide receivers, I probably would prioritize just going to go ahead and get Ezekiel Elliott. But given this league format in particular, I think it does put us in a very difficult position if we were to decide to pass on a wide receiver here, and we would just probably be playing catch up the rest of the draft in a spot where we wouldn't be that excited about it. So let me know what y'all think here at the 3-4 turn. Y'all know I've done over, I think at this point, we probably crossed the threshold 500 real money fantasy football drafts this year. And I don't know if I've ever had the combination of like Josh Allen and Terry McLaurin at the 3-4 turn. I don't know if I've ever done that. Garrett says, let's get to 2,000 likes. Okay, guys. Last night, we did have a record-breaking live stream where we got to 1,200 likes, but that was a record-breaking live stream. There's no way we break our all-time record in likes at 1,200 and then somehow hit 2,000. Now, trust me, if we get at 2,000 likes in the live stream, I'd probably cry on the stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream, subscribe to the channel. If we hit 90,000 subs on the channel, we will get a 24-hour live stream draft marathon underway. And I'm sure everybody watching this is already subscribed, but make sure you're dropping the likes on our videos and live streams. That way you can help us get recommended to new viewers. That way we can hit that 90,000 subscribers before the season starts and I can get you all that draft marathon. That'd be so exciting. And if we have every day until the start of the season look like today in terms of the amount of subscribers that we gained, the amount of views that we had, we would hit 90,000 subs before the season starts. But today was probably one of the best days the channel's ever seen. Okay. So let's go through and check this out. Patrick Mahomes goes 51. The recovery says, Mason, how's your dog doing? Oh, guys, if y'all don't know, I know everybody thinks this about their dog, but I legitimately have the best dog on the planet. The absolute best. She's doing great. Now, Brandon Cooks goes 52. Guys, I don't want to get ahead of myself, But imagine, just imagine if Gabriel Davis would have fallen to us. Okay, Gabriel Davis doesn't. He doesn't. Gabriel Davis goes pick 53. I would have lost my freaking mind if Gabriel Davis made it to us at pick 58. Okay, there's a player that I am thinking of that not too many people are probably going to want us to take here at pick 58, but I have to take him. I have to. Okay, let's see what this team does. This team took 3 running backs to start the draft. They go David Montgomery here, pick 55. There are 2 teams right before us. I don't know if these teams are watching this live stream. So let's see what they do. What was the report on Rashad Bateman today? Back at practice, blah, blah, blah. So nothing. It doesn't really matter. Skull time went Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift. They go Rashad Bateman here. How are you taking Bateman over J.K. Dobbins? How do you do that? How? I recorded a J.K. Dobbins video yesterday, and that video will come out tomorrow morning. I cannot wait for you to watch it, especially with the news that we got today about J.K. Dobbins. It's going to be a very exciting video. I think Dobbins does have it in his range of outcomes to just be a top 3 running back this upcoming season, regardless of the health of Gus Edwards or not. Okay. So after we take Dobbins here, we're not wanting another running back for a very long time. I just feel like we have to take that value where it is now at this point. Dear God, ladies and gentlemen, what are we wanting? Amon-Ra St. Brown, 61. We may go crazy. No, we can't do it. We can't do it. We can't do it. T. Johnson on the clock. Here's my thought process, everyone. Elijah Moore off the board. No, Michael Thomas is my guy. Who the hell would I be if we take a second quarterback here? Even if I love the quarterback values, Michael Thomas is my most drafted wide receiver for a reason. We took him in the last draft, closer to the middle of the 6th round, a little bit later. But we need another wide receiver. We started this draft off with 3 running backs. We already have the elite level quarterback in Josh Allen. So let's go ahead. Let's take Michael Thomas here. Let's not think twice about it. Michael Thomas, in my opinion, has the ceiling to break fantasy football. That ceiling that we are always desperately searching for. And instead of having to pay the early round 1 price tag on a Christian McCaffrey since he's been hurt over the past 2 years, or instead of having to pay the early round 2 price tag on a Saquon Barkley since he's been hurt over the past 2 years, we're getting Michael Thomas as a wide receiver 3 in this draft. Perfect. My trick says 101, Jonathan Taylor, Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, Darren Waller, Gabriel Davis. What are your thoughts? I'm not a massive Gabriel Davis fan. I'd say if this is a 12-team PPR format, or if this is going to be an underdog draft, the value you got in particular with Tyreek Hill falling to pick 24, with Gabriel Davis falling significantly behind his ADP to pick 48, I would like it in that context, but it definitely does matter the context of the actual league format. Okay, so Jonah says, how late are we going to go with this live stream? Guys, if y'all are enjoying this, if y'all are going down there dropping those likes, y'all know I love doing this. Now, the question is, how long will my voice last? That's why I usually have to kind of cut the live stream maybe after the 3rd or 4th draft instead of just drafting all night, because I'm doing this every single night until the season starts. And then from there, we're doing question and answer live streams every single night until the end of the season. So I got to preserve my voice just a little bit. But if y'all are having a ton of fun, we're running these likes up. If we get to 1,000 likes like yesterday, I can tell you we're at the minimum getting 4 drafts underway. Okay. So now we have a couple more wide receivers going off the board. No big surprises here. I will say this is making me feel better about my last draft, where our last draft we took Josh Jacobs round 7, Antonio Gibson round 8. Here they're both going in round 6. So yeah, that's going to make me feel good. It's going to make me feel significantly better about my picks there. Okay, so after this, I don't even know what we're really hoping for. Kadarius Toney goes pick 75. Dalton Schultz, 76. Trying to think what specific player would fit this build. Like, who are we wanting to make it back to us? Wilson's not that intriguing. We don't need a quarterback. Who the hell would we take Russell Wilson with? I mean, we'd have to reach on Hamler in the 13th. Derek decides to go Tony Pollard in the 7th. Okay, Derek, let me know in the live chat. Have you always been a massive fan of Tony Pollard like this? Or was there something I missed today out of Dallas that's pumping up Tony Pollard with these drafts. Because in the last draft, we had Tony Pollard going in the 7th round as well before Josh Jacobs. So are you just a Pollard fan, or did something happen to change the situation? Oh, you freaking kidding me. We have Ayuk off the board. Ayuk was the guy we were wanting. Let's think through this. Who do we take? Okay. I can't take Allen Lazard. I don't know what we're supposed to do here. I can't take Allen Lazard. I like the value of Miles Sanders, but the issue is we've already gone so running back heavy. What I want to do is I want to take James Cook in a couple of rounds and not have to take another running back the rest of the way. So we are put in a very difficult situation here where I don't know what the right call is. I have no idea. I feel like we're stuck in no man's land. Y'all know how much I hate Allen Lazard. Like, I can't take Allen Lazard in round 7. Let me rephrase that. I don't hate Allen Lazard, the man. I hate Allen Lazard's ADP. I hate this price tag for Allen Lazard. Miles Sanders goes directly after us. I was really hoping we got one at Christian Kirk, Traylon Burks, or Brandon Ayuk. Oh, that was tough. Derek says, no, I just think he is going to take a bigger receiving role with the wide receivers going down in Dallas. Okay, that actually does make sense if you're looking at the target share now that you don't have to disperse it between James Washington as well. Still probably am not taking him very often here, but I understand the thought process. Okay, Hawkinson goes 85. If Lazard falls to us 12 picks past ADP, we may have to just go with Allen Lazard for the unique build. Chase Edmonds off the board. Guys, I don't like Lazard. I truly don't. I don't like this price point. But we're going to be doing a ridiculous amount of these drafts. I think we have like Lazard in 1 to 2% of these leagues. We had him in about 4% of our drafts as of a month ago, but I probably haven't taken him in a month. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's take Allen Lazard, pick 87. And the thought process with why we decide to go Russell Wilson here is, if you think about it, yes, from a median projection standpoint, you most likely have the optimal of taking Josh Allen in round 3 and then not deciding to take another quarterback until round 17, round 18. But in reality, if we go through and think through the game theory of this large field tournament, if everybody is following the optimal median projection and deciding to take Josh Allen in round 3 and then waiting until the very last round and grabbing Carson Wentz as their second quarterback, well, then if Josh Allen were to, say, miss a 6-week stretch during the middle of the season, no team is ever going to have Josh Allen in that playoff stretch, in that massive playoff tournament in weeks 15, 16, and 17. Whereas if you also pair up Allen with a borderline elite level quarterback here with Russell Wilson, and Allen were to go down for 6 weeks and Wilson can keep you afloat, then if you can sneak Josh Allen into that tournament where nobody else is going to have him in weeks 15, 16, and 17, and he's the quarterback one during that stretch, you do have a unique pathway to sneaking him in and accessing a unique outcome with elite level upside. I don't know if it's the right call. That's the thought process. That would be the mental gymnastics that you have to do to go through and come away with the conclusion that Russell Wilson is the correct pick there. But in reality, maybe we just panicked once we had every guy that we were looking at sniping us. Okay, so now we have Matt coming out and says, hey, Mason, thank you so much, my man. It says, win now Dynasty team, strong at running back with Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, Saquon Barkley, but weaker at wide receiver. Should I trade Dobbins, Rondale Moore, and Jacoby Myers for CeeDee Lamb? As soon as you asked if you should trade J.K. Dobbins, I was getting ready to say no, that J.K. Dobbins was about to see his value skyrocket. But at this price point, Rondale Moore is truly just a throw-in in Dynasty, as well as Jacoby Myers. You're essentially trading, say, Dobbins in his second for CeeDee Lamb. If it's a PPR format, yeah, go ahead, make that deal. Okay, so we have Robert Woods going at the 101. Okay, good. We want to see these quarterbacks off the board. Obviously, when we have Josh Allen and Russell Wilson on the same team, we would 100% benefit if all of a sudden we have quarterbacks just Going off, going off, going off. Okay. So at this point, let's think through this. This is why I'm not a massive fan of taking Allen. Because when you take Allen on a team that doesn't have Diggs, I feel like we're forced to go ahead and to reach on Dawson Knox here. Like, obviously, we're getting Knox at his ADP, arguably one pick behind his ADP. Doesn't really matter. We're getting him at cost. I don't like this price point of Dawson Knox, but when we have Allen, we're betting that this Buffalo Bills offense will be dynamic in the fantasy football playoffs. And if Allen could potentially be the quarterback one during that time period, we have to have some of his pass catchers for it to work out. So even though I think from a season-long perspective, Dawson Knox is 100% overvalued, if we are talking this format in particular, maybe it makes sense just going through and chasing the touchdown upside he can have in the final 3 weeks. But that is God, that was so gross. Like, if I have to pick guys that I actually want to be drafting here, that I'm excited about drafting, the guys I'm excited about drafting are those rookies. Like, to see Kenneth Walker go right before us, even though Kenneth Walker sometimes falls to the end of the 10th, and to also see Garrett Wilson go, those are the players I want to be drafting. But we took Josh Allen. We have to bet on this Buffalo Bills offense. I 100% prefer stacking Josh Allen with James Cook because most likely James Cook is the passing down running back here in Buffalo this upcoming season. And I do think he correlates a lot better with Josh Allen than Devin Singletary is. But still, at the end of the day, we're betting on this Buffalo Bills offense to be that elite scoring, elite powerhouse. So we're going to have to go ahead. We're probably just going to have to take Devin Singletary here. I'm not a massive fan of the play, but it's fine. We dug our own grave. This draft isn't nearly as exciting as our last draft. I mean, I think our last draft set the bar pretty damn high. But we have Walter coming out and says, hey there, love your channel. I am playing in a keeper league for the first time this year. What advice would you offer a novice? Love the team build so far. Okay, thank you so much, my man. I'll say I don't love our team, but regardless, I appreciate the kind words. And if you're playing in a keeper format, this is coming from someone that spends 365 days a year playing Dynasty Fantasy Football. I played Dynasty Fantasy Football since 2014. I was probably in my first keeper league even before that. I have found that people who play in keeper leagues where you keep 5 or fewer players think about the future way too much. Like, if you say keep 3 players in your keeper format, you don't need to think of it as a keeper. In my opinion, you treat it like a redraft league. Don't think about long-term upside with the players you select. Just ask yourself, who do I want this season? Who can put up the most points this season? Who can gain the most value this season? And you take that player. So if you're playing in a deeper keeper league where you actually have to keep, say, double-digit options, there, of course, then it's going to be a little bit more of a balancing act between redraft and dynasty. But if you're playing in like a keep 5 or less, which I find most keeper leagues are, then you're just going to go ahead, treat it like a redraft league. Okay. So we have Justin Fields going off the board 121. Good for us. Come on, get these QBs off. Please, please, please. Let's get these quarterbacks off draft boards. I think that we are probably in a pretty good situation as well because now we're done drafting running back. If you go through and look at this entire round being composed of running backs and quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa sliding up draft boards here as well. I think we will be able to find some wide receiver value that we're fine with and some possible tight end value. Actually, you know what? We're probably going to need to end up looking for Albert O on the way back around to pair up with Russell Wilson. So even if we were to like, say, a Pat Freiermuth in the 12th round, I don't know if we should take Freiermuth. Maybe we should just roll the dice that we get our Denver Bronco tight end on the way back around. We'll figure it out. In coming out, long time no see, my friend, says a 14 team. I know you're playing this crazy format. 14 team, half PPR format, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex, up to 3 keepers, 1 round penalty increasing every year. Waddle in the 6th, Pollard in the 8th, or any of Lance, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or Elijah Moore for the 9th. I have the 102, 204, and 213. Okay, so in a 14-team league, obviously depth is going to matter a little bit more, but at the same time, I mean, those picks aren't going to be as intriguing later on because if you're drafting in the 6th round compared to a 12-team format, wait 1 second. And let's take Jacoby Myers. We'll get Christian Watson on the way back around. But if you're playing in that 14-team format, like a 6th round pick is going to be 12 picks later than it would be in a 12-team league. I would go ahead. I would 100% keep Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is by far and away the best value here. I love me some Trey Lance, but in a 14-team league as well, I do want to stack up that wide receiver depth, so I think it's a natural fit. Christian Watson goes pick 133. We're going to get Jahan Dotson. In a vacuum, I probably prefer Alexander Mattison. I probably prefer Pat Freiermuth. However, we need wide receivers with this team. Right now, at wide receiver, we're sitting with, I don't want to admit this. This is not a beautiful wide receiver core, but we have Terry McLaurin, Michael Thomas. Oh my gosh, Alan Lazard. What did I do? And Jacoby Myers, Jahan Dotson. And Albert O goes 3 picks right after. What was Albert O's ADP? Should we have taken him there? His ADP is 144. Maybe we should have just taken him. It's hard for me to ever draft Albert O over Pat Freiermuth, though. Like, how are you going to do that? Gabriel says, Mason, I'll be in the drafts as soon as I turn 19, my man. Looking forward to it. I don't know why 19 is the day for you. I know you have to be 18 to draft on Underdog, but regardless, looking forward to you getting in here, drafting with us, my friend. Okay, so DJ Chark goes 140. Crazy to see that DJ Chark's now going before Jameson Williams. In my opinion, this proves that the average fantasy football drafter is too concerned with median projections and too concerned about how situations look right now. We need to take a step back. We need to think about what a situation is going to look like in week 10, in week 8, in week 9, when you're dealing with bye weeks, when we're ramping up for the fantasy football playoffs, when money is actually going to be on the line. At that point, is DJ Chark going to be the guy starting for Detroit? Is he going to be the alpha X wide receiver, or is he going to be Jameson Williams? I understand Williams dealt with that injury. I understand this is a wide receiver that is going to miss the beginning portion of the season, probably going to be placed in PUP and miss the first 4 weeks. That's why we were saying that he was a horrible draft pick when he was going in the 9th round. But at this point, the hate on a player like Jameson Williams has gone way too far. Now let's scroll this down. I would love if we got I don't want to say it out loud. I mean, obviously, I'll know what I'm looking for. There are a couple different players that I'd really like to have on the way back around. Now, what would help us is if Ronald Jones and Trevor Lawrence went off draft boards. But I don't know how likely that's going to be. I guess, you know what? I can't speak too much. Let's keep our lips sealed. Jameson Williams off the board. That was one of the players that we were going to be looking at. Derek does it to us. Derek, why do you have to do that to us, my man? He takes KJ Hamler. He takes the guy that we are wanting. Obviously, we want KJ Hamler. Oh, my gosh. Someone banned Derek from the... Derek's moderator. I guess he can't get banned. But... it's going to make me cry myself to sleep tonight, my friend. I see how it is. I would... Gesicki off the board as well. You'll take everybody from us. Absolutely everybody. And I'm not even a massive McKenzie guy. I think that it's still completely possible that Jamison Crowder is the starting slot wide receiver here in Buffalo. I definitely have a lot more Jamison Crowder than Isaiah McKenzie. I'll say that for sure. And it's not a good look when Isaiah McKenzie is now ahead of him in ADP. Yeah, but it is what it is. Let's go Isaiah McKenzie, 154. Trevor Lawrence, 155. His team on the clock right now has no quarterbacks. They have 4 running backs, 6 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends as well. I'm assuming, yeah, they go quarterback. They go Jameis Winston. That's good for us. And Deshaun Watson. Perfect. Get these quarterbacks off the draft boards. At this point, I think that we probably want to lock in another tight ends. Or let's think through the wide receivers that are going to be available. No, we want a tight end. We're going to take David Njoku. We are taking David Njoku over Gerald Everett. I think Njoku's a more talented player. I think David Njoku has less target competition. And specifically, I think we are getting a discount based on the idea that people are very scared Watson's going to miss the entire season, which is entirely possible. But I'm going to try to leverage that fear into getting players at a strong value when they have elite level ceilings. So let's go ahead here. In my opinion, we're going to make the easy pick. We are going to take a Mr. David Njoku. And if we have another tight end making it to us at a value, we probably draft him. I don't love this draft. How about this? Let's get this live stream to 700 likes. If this live stream gets to 700 likes, we are just going to finish this draft on our phone. We are going to fire up another draft. I don't want to look at this board for another second. Let's try to figure out, where did this go wrong? Let's not make this mistake again. Let's not make this mistake again. Let's figure out where this went wrong. Henry and Mixon in the first 2 rounds. That's fantastic. Allen in round 3. We have to take Josh Allen in round 3. Terry McLaurin. We have to go wide receiver round 4. The Russell Wilson pick is where everything went off. The Russell Wilson selection is where everything went off the rails. I felt like nothing went our way. I felt like we were just sniped pick after pick after pick. We are getting guys after ADP that correlate with our roster. So maybe it's not the worst thing in the world, but I just don't like a lot of these names that we have. Like, I don't like Allen Lazard. I don't like Dawson Knox. I don't like Devin Singletary. I think that they were probably the correct picks given our build, but at the same time, maybe I just need to be fading Allen if this is what it leads to. Leads to me having to take a bunch of players that I don't care for their prices. Okay. Let's scroll this down. And we are about 40 likes from firing up the next draft. So please, if you want to see our next draft, go down there, drop a like on the stream. And if you want to join our next draft, go to the link in the description, go to the link in the live chat, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. You'll get a 100% deposit match. And most importantly, you'll be able to have some fun. You'll be able to draft with us in the live stream and draft with your friends, draft with people in the public lobby, whatever the hell you want to do. But now, Derek, is he on auto here? He goes Paris Campbell with an auto draft. So Rom coming out. We have every regular. I am so happy to see you out. Says, hope you're doing well, mate. In the 111, I've done 2 drafts. Would love to get your thoughts and possible improvements, please. 12-team PPR, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 tight end, and 1 flex. Okay, yes, please just let me know the teams in the live chat. I'd be super happy to look at that for you, my man. Please don't feel the need to donate. Please do not feel the need to donate. Just let me know in the live chat. Okay, so let's go ahead and... let's take Hayden Hurst. Let's get some week 17 correlation in here. Let's get Hayden Hurst paired up with Joe Mixon. I don't know. We need a 3rd tight end, and the wide receivers at this point, I really like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I really like Will Fuller, specifically Will Fuller, and I think we can get Fuller back around at pick 183 regardless. Okay, so Evan Ingram goes 179. Maybe we made the right call taking the tight end here. I mean, we were going to get someone like Austin Hooper or Ingram on the way back around regardless. Donovan Peoples-Jones off. Now, if all of a sudden Alec Pierce and Will Fuller are off the board, then we know we made the incorrect decision. But this team on the clock, they go Zach Wilson. Yeah, they had Jameis Winston, Deshaun Watson. So it makes a lot of sense for them to grab that quarterback there. Now we are going to get a wide receiver that we like, regardless of if that's Alec Pierce or Will Fuller. Probably would prefer Will Fuller over Alec Pierce. Luke says, it's cool seeing all these people that have been watching the channel since the near start. Yeah, y'all are just the freaking best. I mean, truly shout out to everybody a part of the flock. Y'all are the best fantasy football community, and it's not even remotely close. Like, y'all are hilarious in the chat with crap y'all say. Out here every single night supporting the stream. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all don't even know, guys. Y'all don't even know. But let's move this down. Will Fuller, 183. And we hit 700 likes in the live stream. So that tells me that people just want us to go ahead and get another draft going. So I'll finish this one out. I'll just queue up probably 2 more wide receivers on our phone, and we will fire into our next puppy draft here. It's going to be the $5 puppy draft. Let me show you exactly when I enter. There we go. Bada boom, bada bang. 7 spots open. And I imagine some of y'all were in here at the beginning. So looks like this may be another very tough draft with members of the flock. And of course, Underdog is going to put us right next to Derek. Oh, dear God. I think Jim Halpert is a part of the flock. Texan fan is a part of the flock. Derek obviously is a part of the flock. Sparky's a part of the flock. Zachary23 is a part of the flock. And I'm assuming maybe a couple of these other names that I don't recognize. Maybe they're new members of the flock that I haven't burnt their names in my mind yet. But, oh, dear God. This is crazy. Saram coming out again. Thank you. I said please don't feel the need to donate, my man. Just let me know in the live chat. It says Team 1, Wilson, Mixon, Zeke, Dobbins, Kenneth Walker, Diggs, Mike Thomas, Drake London, Robert Woods, George Kittle. Team 2, Lamar, Mixon, Swift, Dylan, Penny, Pittman, Mike Williams, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. Okay, so riding with Kittle on both teams. Going back to this, I believe this was a very shallow format. Yeah, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and tight end in a flex. Like having the elite level tight end in this format in particular. And if we're going to go ahead and look at the wide receiver depth that we have on this team, someone like Robert Woods, while I love Robert Woods, if you're playing in a 12-team league where you have to start 3 wide receivers and you have a flex spot as well, so presumably we can assume that there are going to be 48 wide receivers started across your entire league every single week. Robert Woods can dramatically affect a win rate in that kind of format in particular. However, in this league where you only start 2 wide receivers in 1 flex, I personally have a hard time imagining how Robert Woods has a dramatic win rate in that format in particular. So what I would really look to do if we could is I would look to leverage up some of that wide receiver depth, whether that's Robert Woods in that first team or Mike Williams in that second, and then pair them with a running back to try to just upgrade that running back position and then be able to filter through that waiver wire with the additional roster spot that you had on both teams at the very beginning of the season, where you should have some intriguing players coming from. Now, I will also say on that second team, let's go ahead. Let's take Derrick Henry round 1 here. Derrick Henry round 1 is going to be a very easy selection where you already have Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. You're betting so heavily on that San Francisco 49ers offense that it could potentially make sense for you to take Lamar Jackson and another one of those running backs, downgrade at quarterback to Trey Lance to just get that double stack, because this team can only be good if the 49ers hit anyway, and then also get a running back upgrade. So maybe that would look like trading away Lamar Jackson and DeAndre Swift and getting back Trey Lance and Austin Eckler, or Trey Lance and Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, dependent on how your league values those players. Okay. But Najee Harris off the board here at pick 11. So we are not going to be a team that's able to go through and get that crazy Najee Harris mid-round 2 value as he sometimes falls in these drafts. Nick, another longtime member of the flock, says, hey boss, a 12-team Superflex league, just picked up an orphan. Start 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 5 flex. Okay, Nick, you've been playing Dynasty long enough to know that you just hammer in wide receiver, wide receiver in this format. This has got offered CMC for David Montgomery, Brandon Ayuk, Kadarius Toney, and the 204. What are your thoughts? If you're a contender, actually, I think we probably prefer CMC here. Even though wide receiver is definitely going to be the way to go in that format in particular, it's probably a pretty good price point. Okay, let's see what we are going to do after we take Derrick Henry pick at 8. I guess we go Barkley. We're going to go with another 2 running back start here. Instead of, I think in our last draft, we started off Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon. We are going to get Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. So another high upside double running back start out the gate, but we'll see. This is going to be very fun. And we have someone in the chat saying that they are Jags fan. Okay, so Jags fan is also a member of the flock. Please, if y'all are in this draft with us right now and you are in this live stream, let me know in the live chat what your name is on Underdog. I'm trying to do this every single draft. I want to be able to burn your names into my brain. I want to be able to really try to remember y'all so I know exactly how much pain we are going to have when we have to go up against you. But, oh dear God, I just realized. That other draft we were in. Oh, that's brutal. That other draft that we left early, our queue ran out on wide receivers. Oh, that is brutal. Teresa coming out says, wishing I could draft, but I'm here as always. Supporting all you guys is what I love doing. Plus, I learned strategy. Thank you, Teresa. And thank you for the email today. I don't want to say any more than that, but thank you for the email. Thank you for the information. I'm definitely keeping my eye on it. Cam says he's Jim Halpert. I knew you were a part of the vlog, Cam. I didn't know that that was your YouTube name, though. And then after this, Cray says he is a member of the flock as well. Okay, so Nick Chubb goes pick 27. Kyle Pitts goes 28. Honestly, if I knew that there was a 0% chance that we were getting Kyle Pitts on the way back round in the third, I would have potentially, and I'm just saying potentially, considered Mark Andrews there in the second round to pair up with Derrick Henry. I felt like that would have been a unique combination that had access to a pretty high ceiling. And, dear God, we're not taking Josh Allen here. We're not doing it. We're going to go with one of these wide receivers. That last draft, I hated so much. I hated that draft so much when we went Allen, and we had to take Dawson Knox. We had to take Devin Singletary, even though I hate their ADPs. I hate that price point for those guys from a season-long perspective. But Pittman's off the board, so let's see what Texan fan decides to do. Hopefully he gives us DJ Moore. I probably prefer DJ Moore here. He started Aaron Jones and Stephon Diggs, so actually he's probably going to go Josh Allen. Yeah, he goes Allen. So let's think through this. I 100% have DJ Moore ranked before Mike Williams, but at the same time, what's going to be the more likely combination? The trio of Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and DJ Moore, or the trio of Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and Mike Williams? Based on how this ADP lines up, where you're looking at Mike Williams with an ADP of 30, this is literally a boring cop-out answer, but the reason I'm going to go with Mike Williams here over DJ Moore, and trust me, I've drafted way more DJ Moore than Mike Williams this year, is just because I feel like if we go with a DJ Moore start here at 3, from the tournament perspective of this entire contest, we are going to be duped through the first 3 rounds in a decent amount of leagues with that combo of Henry, Barkley, and DJ Moore. So I feel like this will be a very unique combo of these trio, because you have Barkley usually going at like pick 15, 14, and you have Mike Williams usually going to pick like 29, 30. There's not going to be a lot of overlap between those two guys. Whereas with DJ Moore, there's going to be a ton of overlap. Okay, so we got Jalen Waddle, pick 35. Sai says, not a fan of the T. Higgins over A.J. Brown pick. What are your thoughts? I think they're in the same tier. I mean, I went through my top 12 wide receiver rankings, I believe 2 days ago on the channel. We have them in the same exact tier. I think it's going to be up to your personal preference. What I will say is T. Higgins has an ADP over A.J. Brown. Like, it's a very common thing to see T. Higgins go there, pick 24. I've even seen T. Higgins go as early as like pick 20 when the Jamar Chase team really wants to make sure that they get that correlation in there with that Cincinnati Bengals offense. Not saying you should do it, but I'm saying I see that regularly in these drafts. Okay, I'm probably going to take Travis Etienne here. Take the dip that we have with the James Robinson's report. I do want to read this on Hollywood. Okay, so it looks like Hollywood's individual drills, nothing massive. Like we said, you don't need to be worried about the rest. He's an NFL player. They're going to figure it out. Let's go ahead. Let's take Travis Etienne, pick 41. I would have been very excited about this Etienne pick. I would have been jumping up and down with joy if James Robinson was on the PUP. But James Robinson taking snaps with the first team. James Robinson looking like someone that is going to have a pretty nice role there in Jacksonville this year. Now, what we need to hope for is we need to hope that James Robinson is the Jamal Williams for Travis Etienne's Aaron Jones. We really need to hope that James Robinson's just going to be seeing the meaningless carries between the 20-yard lines. I'm not concerned about James Robinson taking the targets away from Travis Etienne. I think Travis Etienne does have that on lock. But what I am genuinely concerned with is the possibility that James Robinson does take the red zone work from Travis Etienne, which that would be pretty tough. Now, let's see. Jerry Jeudy goes 47. Juju Smith-Schuster 48. Yeah, so if you see Juju go at 48, you know right away that team is just planning on turning around, taking Patrick Mahomes. Like, Patrick Mahomes is really the only reason that Juju Smith-Schuster would ever be drafted there. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of that. I understand the thought process of wanting to get in that correlation in that Kansas City Chiefs offense. I honestly still probably prefer just going Darren Waller and Patrick Mahomes and then just targeting Sky Moore, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and McCole Hardman later on at significantly lower cost. But that's just me. I would have been very excited about getting Lamar Jackson on the way back around, but Lamar goes here, pick 52. So I think that we are just going to end up with Godwin goes 54. What are y'all doing to me? I hate drafting with y'all. I hate drafting with y'all so much. Like, let's see. And if we want Dobbins, we're going to have to take Dobbins here. I would be so shocked if Derek gave us Dobbins on the way back around. Texan fan on the clock. They go Brandon Cooks. Let's think this through. If we take Dobbins here, we're done at running back. You know what? We're doing it. There's no reason that Dobbins should be going this late in these drafts. There's no reasons whatsoever. I understand maybe he had the injury concern, but now Dobbins has already been cleared. Good to go for week 1. I have a video coming out tomorrow explaining my Dobbins love in depth for everyone. Looks like we are going to go with that hyper fragile build. We are not going to be taking another running back in this draft. We already have Henry, Barkley, Travis Etienne, and J.K. Dobbins. We are either going to be taking an elite level quarterback there at pick 65, or we will be grabbing whatever wide receivers available to us, whether that's Elijah Moore, whether that's us reaching on Drake London. We'll figure it out, but I want to take this J.K. Dobbins price point. I want to reach on J.K. Dobbins before Dobbins is a player going in the 4th round. Because I would be willing to bet that while J.K. Dobbins today has an ADP in the 6th, J.K. Dobbins in the 4th is going to be coming to you very soon. Okay, Montgomery going pick 61. Okay, that actually really helps us. Now that we have another team going with 4 running backs with their build, we don't know if they're going to stop drafting running back anytime soon. That's going to help us potentially push running backs up across the board for everyone. Of course, selfishly, that's very good for us whenever we start Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, and J.K. Dobbins. And we have Mind Trick says Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Javonte Williams in this underdog draft at the 104. Interesting. I'm not jumping up and down with joy based on that draft. I mean, I think it's a strong start. But I mean, I feel like I could get that start in a ton of drafts if I wanted. Like, if you wanted to start with the trio of Chase, Higgins, Javonte, take Chase at the 102 or the 101, and you have that start every single draft. You know what I mean? Okay, so now we're going to get Elijah Moore, as we already discussed. Once we commit to that Dobbins pick in round 5, we have to go ahead and we have to take a wide receiver here. Like, legitimately, we can't do anything else. Right now, we only have Mike Williams at wide receiver. I'm not even a massive fan of Mike Williams, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I think with this construction, I do think we have a very unique team. And I think it's a team with upside. That's a combination we're looking for. Uniqueness and upside. Derek says, puppy should be filled by the end of the week. Let me go through and check. If y'all don't know what the puppy draft is, I'm sure you've been living under a rock if you don't know. But on Underdog Fantasy, they have tournament drafts. And with these tournament drafts, like the puppy is one of the drafts going right now. There are 223,000 entries. There's $1 million prize pool. A $5 buy-in, $200,000 for first, $100,000 for second, and so on down the line. But this contest launched, about a week ago? And there have been 159,000 entries so far. So I'd imagine, yeah, it's probably filled relatively soon. Okay, let's go into this draft real quick. Apologize for going through. I just wanted to see when that's going to fill because it's going to be a sad day when it fills. It's going to be a very sad day when it fills. As I've already maxed out a Best Ball Mania. I can't do any more Best Ball Mania drafts. And real quick, if you want to go draft on Underdog Fantasy, if you want to go get some regular 12-team fantasy football drafts, if If you want to go get in one of those tournament style contests, whatever you want, if you want to draft with us on the live stream, make sure you go to the link in the live chat, the link in the comment section. Go over to Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Get a 100% deposit match. Get our rankings. Get our draft guide. Literally with the $10 deposit, you're getting a 300-page draft guide. There's not a better deal on this freaking planet. Teresa says, Mason, look at Team 7 stack. Yeah, they go Gabriel Davis in the 4th there. I mean, you can regularly get Gabriel Davis in the 4th. Like, they reach on Gabriel Davis over Hollywood Brown. I understand the appeal in that. But at the same time, personally, I'm just not going to be too excited about it. I'm not going to be that excited to go through and to take 4th round Gabriel Davis to get the double stack there in Buffalo. Okay, for the love of God, do not take our guy. Actually, I guess we can go Russell. We didn't take Josh Allen with this build. Russell Wilson's not going to destroy this team. We're still going to go Christian Kirk. We're still going to... Actually, let's think this through. Yeah, no, we still need to add in wide receivers. We have to. We take Christian Kirk here. We pair him up with Travis Etienne. We can look at a Trevor Lawrence later on. Adam says, Mason, when are you going to buy a Courtland Sutton jersey? Guys, if y'all don't know, before the Tim Patrick injury, okay, before the Tim Patrick injury, Courtland Sutton was being drafted as the wide receiver 16. I did not have him ranked as the wide receiver 16. I had him ranked as a low-end wide receiver 2, had him ranked as a late 5th round pick, and he was going in the 3rd. I thought it was the worst value in fantasy. So I said if Courtland Sutton was a top 10 wide receiver, I would buy a Courtland Sutton jersey and hang it up in the studio. And I'm going to have to look at that sucker every single day if Courtland Sutton is the top 10 wide receiver. Significantly more likely now that the wide receiver who has led the Denver Broncos in touchdowns in back-to-back seasons is now out for the year. So definitely going to be tough for me to come into this office every single day and stare at a Courtland Sutton jersey and just be reminded of how much money we lost. But we'll get over it. We'll get over it. So Pollard off the board. At this point, do we want Brady or Hawkinson? I'd say we probably just go ahead. We take TJ Hawkinson. If we take Hawkinson here and then pair him up with like a Pat Frymuth later on, I think we're going to get away with only having to draft 2 tight ends. We're going to definitely want to draft 3 quarterbacks with this build. If we take Tom Brady, my issue is we're going to have to then go ahead and reach on Russell Gage and Julio Jones. And I don't necessarily love the price points of those guys now that Julio Jones has just been a rocket ship skyrocketing up ADP here. So let's go ahead and let's just take Hawkinson, take a tight end that, in my opinion, does have it in the range of outcomes to be a top 3 tight end in fantasy, to post, honestly, a top 2 finish. Like, Hawkinson is an elite level player. Like, he was an elite level prospect coming out of Iowa. He was a top 10 NFL draft pick. He's been the tight end 6 on a points per game basis over the past 2 years, which, no, that hasn't helped you in your fantasy football league because we've talked about it time and time again. The tight end 6 and the tight end 20, it's like the same exact thing. But to be fair to Hawkinson, he was 23 and 24 years old over the past 2 years. Like, you're not expecting tight ends to produce at that age. You're not expecting any production at all. So I think there is room for improvement with Hawkinson. I'll take him at 89. I don't love the Detroit Lions, as I know a lot of other people do, but it is what it is. Now we have Ramondre Stevenson going here, pick 96. Russell Gage goes 98. Okay, so even if we would have gone with the Tom Brady, we would not have had Russell Gage making it back to us. And who knows where Julio's going to go in this draft. James Cook off the board, 99. Good for us. Come on, get these running backs off this god dang draft board. Nick coming out. Thank you, my man, says, Dynasty 12-teamer, Zach Wilson in 2 future firsts or Kyler Murray in a future second. Oh, that is tough. Let's think through this. If we say Zach Wilson is worth a 2023 first, I think it's legitimately about one of the most fair dynasty trades that I've seen in a very long time. If this is a league where you start 10 players, it's a wash. It's up to you. If it's a league where you start 11 plus, I probably take the picks. If you start 9 or less, I probably take Kyler. But here, let's go ahead and let's take Dallas Goedert I think very similar to TJ Hawkinson, why Goddard has been somewhat disappointing in fantasy over the past 2 years, and he is kind of in this dead zone. Unlike Cole Kmet, unlike Irv Smith Jr., unlike Dawson Knox, who goes right before him here, I do think that Dallas Goedert does have it in his range of outcomes to be a top 3 tight end in fantasy. He had 2.7 yards per route run last year. That's more than someone like Travis Kelce. And if you're looking at the splits of Dallas Goedert throughout his entire NFL career, he's a completely different player in games where Zach Ertz misses. So now that we don't have to deal with Zach Ertz in Philadelphia this upcoming season, let's go ahead. Let's take Goddard here. We'll figure it out. Now, we are done at running back. We are done at tight end. We need 3 quarterbacks. We need 9 wide receivers in this build. Yeah, this is going to be a 9 wide receiver build. We're going to go 3-4-9-2. My math is correct. Or can we go 10? No, it's going to be 9. It's going to be 9. So the only players we can look at, Carr, Rodgers, Rondale Moore, Julio Jones. Jalen Tolbert, Tyler Boyd off the board. At this point, once those guys are gone, why the hell would I take a Rondale Moore or Julio Jones here? Okay, let's see what these 2 teams do right before us. Derek has taken 3 running backs as of late with Elijah Mitchell, Tony Pollard, and Melvin Gordon. Kenneth Walker goes pick 111. And guys, we are closing in on 1,000 likes on the live stream. If you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Help us get to 1,000 likes on the stream. Help us get to 90,000 subscribers before the season starts. If you drop a like, we're more likely to get recommended to a new viewer. And if we hit 90,000 subscribers before the season starts, we are going to fire up a 24-hour live stream draft marathon. I've said this time and time again. I don't know how we're going to do it. We are going to... I don't know. We're probably not going to be able to upload a video for a week after that 24-hour live stream. But good news for you is you'll have 24 hours of content to watch. And if I do that 24-hour live stream, guys, if we do hit 90,000 subs on the channel, I expect a couple of y'all to at least hang out 5+ hours with me out of that 24. Because I know y'all are probably going to get burnt out about 3 or 4 hours in. And then about 12 hours in that live stream, I'm probably going to be streaming for about 50 people. And that is going to be, I guess actually 50 people is enough to talk back and forth. I can talk with 50 people. Never mind, ignore me. We'll be fine. We'll be fine with that regardless. Okay, so we have Aaron Rodgers as the selection at 113, in my opinion. Rodgers is an easy pick here. If you look at Derek Carr, yeah, Derek Carr is technically going before Aaron Rodgers in these drafts. But the reasoning is just because if you look at how ADP breaks down these top pass catchers, you're looking at Derek Carr going here at the very beginning of the 11th round. I'm sorry, the very beginning of the 10th round, the end of the 9th round so often because you have the Devontae Adams team here at the end of round 1, the beginning of round 2. And you also have Hunter Renfrow going here at pick 83 in almost every single one of these drafts. So the reason why Derek Carr goes before Rodgers in the majority of these leagues, in my opinion, isn't necessarily anything due to Derek Carr versus Aaron Rodgers in particular. It's more so based on the roster construction. And if you're a Devontae Adams team, if you're a Hunter Renfrow team, you kind of feel the need to take Derek Carr, where you're not going to feel that same need to take an Aaron Rodgers. Justin says, I'll listen for most, LOL. If it's a weekday at work, 8 hours for sure. Yeah. If I did the 24-hour live stream, it would definitely be like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It'd be one of those. It'd be one of those days. Galladay goes 23, Devontae Parker 21. We really need to have some wide receivers on the way back around. The last time we were on the clock, the wide receivers were not appealing whatsoever. I guess we could also go Justin Fields if we don't like any of these receivers. But you know what we are looking for here? Once we take Aaron Rodgers, we really got to hope that we get Christian Watson at pick 128. We are reaching on Watson according to his ADP, so we should get him. It's almost a guarantee. But it's definitely a player that we want. And so much of my season is going to come down to if Christian Watson is actually able to be one of the starting wide receivers in Green Bay and if he's going to be effective. Because I have bet a significant amount of money on Christian Watson. Love the price tag, wide receiver 61. To be completely honest with you, though, I was drafting Christian Watson probably way before wide receiver 61. I was probably drafting Christian Watson, not at wide receiver 61, but like at wide receiver 50 before. Like I've been drafting Christian Watson. I think I have some of him at the beginning of the 10th, the end of the 9th. Maybe I'm mistaken in that, but I've definitely taken Christian Watson like a month ago. I was taking him before this. Swizz World says, Dubs over Watson. Dubs is free. No, he is not, my man. Romeo Dubs now goes 12 picks behind Christian Watson. In our last draft, he went 12 picks behind Christian Watson. That's the equivalent of saying, oh no, Mason, come on. Don't be a fool here. You can't take Tyler Lockett. You can get Tyler Boyd for free later on. No, they go 12 picks within each other. Adam says, who is going to be the best fantasy wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers? If you had to put money on someone, you would place the money on Allen Lazard. If from a median projection standpoint, Allen Lazard is most likely going to put up the most points in Green Bay at the wide receiver position. From a range of outcomes perspective, especially considering the price of said players, I'm going to be more excited about making the bet on Christian Watson because he's significantly cheaper. And at the same time with Christian Watson, this is a wide receiver that I think has access to an elite level ceiling. Okay, so do we want Myers or Dotson? Let's think through this. Come on. Myers or Dotson? Let's... First person I see in the chat to give me an answer, we're going to go with. First person in the chat, give me an answer between Jahan Dotson and Jacoby Myers we're going to go with. I put Dotson at the top of the queue because that's the guy I want. Let's go through. Happy Feet says Dotson. We're going to go Jahan Dotson. I think they're the first person to say it. Yeah. Myers has a higher ADP, but I mean, if we're looking at players to specifically have an elite level ceiling in weeks 15, 16, and 17, Jahan Dotson was dominant at Penn State as a wide receiver that at Penn State, so a pretty big school. I mean, he goes out there and he counts for over 40% of the receiving yards on a per game basis his final 2 seasons. Now, the reason he's getting knocked in a lot of people's rankings and the reason that a lot of people are off of him is going to be fair. He stayed all 4 years. You don't like wide receivers that stay all 4 years in college. They don't break out until their junior season. Historically speaking, that definitely negatively affects the win rate that you were going to have for said player. But what I will say with a Jahan Dotson, he has an excuse for staying all 4 years. He has an excuse for not breaking out until his junior season. And that is, he had to deal with KJ Hamler. He had to deal with Pat Frymuth early on in his career at Penn State. So given the presence of those 2 players, I think it's excusable for the lack of production that you had from Jahan Dotson early on in college. And hell, he's a first-round NFL draft pick. He was hyper-productive the final 2 years there. I'm going to be fine taking him at this point. Now we have Mike Gesicki, 144, Frymuth, 141. I love the value of those 2 players. Like, I've taken a lot of Gesicki and Frymuth when they're going in this range. But at the end of the day, I can't take another tight end. We took Hawkinson and Dallas Goedert on this build. I feel like not too many teams are going to have that combination as well. Kevin Effect, wasn't Dimey Brown in Washington supposed to be good? I mean, I was not. If I remember correctly, I wasn't a massive Dimey Brown fan. I mean... Let me pull up the profile and pull up what we wrote about him in our rookie draft guide. But my issue with Dimey Brown, who, if y'all don't remember, he was a 3rd-round draft pick out of UNC last year. This was someone that was the wide receiver 1 for Sam Howell, yada, yada, yada. Well, my issue with Dimey Brown is if you looked at his profile, it reminded me a ton of James Washington, where this was a wide receiver that in college, he won with his verticality. He won with the deep routes, his college yards per reception off the charts. Like, I'm looking at this, 20.1 yards per reception in college. And if a wide receiver is going to win with verticality, when they get to the NFL, what do they need to have? They need to have elite level speed. At the wide receiver position, 9 times out of 10, I don't really care about a 40-yard dash for fantasy football purposes. But with those field stretching options, I 100% care about a 40-yard dash. And the man ran a 4.50, very similar to a James Washington. James Washington coming out of Oklahoma State back in, I believe, 2018 as when James Washington was drafted. Okay, so we're going to go Jameson Williams. Derek goes KJ Hamler directly after us. Let me know what y'all think. I'm just completely fine buying the dip on Jameson Williams here, pick 152. You're getting the discount based on the injury that he is dealing with. He's going to be out the first month of the season. This is something that we've known for a very long time. This is why he was a bad pick when he was going inside the top 100 picks. But now at this point, I'm going to be completely fine taking him. Gerald Everett goes 157. I would really like to take Robert Tonyan with this value on a team where we have Rodgers, but we can't do it. We can't take another tight end when we take Hawkinson and Goddard. David Njoku goes 159. Derek on the clock. What does he decide to do? He has one quarterback, one tight end. That tight end is Kelsey. That quarterback is Russell Wilson. Let's think this. I think I know what I'm going to do, and it's going to probably surprise most people. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Deshaun Watson. I know people are going to hate it. Yes. Trust me. I understand. A lot of people probably want me to go run me a dubs here. We have Rodgers. We already have bet on so many rookie wide receivers. Like, I don't want to draft another rookie receiver here. And we already bet that Christian Watson is going to be the guy to emerge here in Green Bay. So with Deshaun Watson, I'm not drafting him in a regular 12-team fantasy football league, but in a puppy draft where it's a $5 buy-in, $1 million prize pool, $200,000 for first, and we need to prioritize having the elite level ceiling in weeks 15, 16, and 17. Who is going to have that higher ceiling than Deshaun Watson? Realistically speaking, who is it? I don't know. I can't give you an answer. I think Deshaun Watson is the guy to bet on. We're going to go ahead. We will take Watson here. Zachary says, what do you think of pick 11? Okay, let's go through. Let's check out Zachary's team at pick 11. Thank you so much, of course, my man, for being a long-time member of the flock. Pick 11 starting off with Najee Harris, Joe Mixon. Love that start. Jalen Waddle round 3. I'm a big Jalen Waddle round 3 guy. I understand the thought process of wanting to take Allen Robinson in the 4th. I mean, I agree that you probably want to go with the receiver here. It's just no man's land. Like, I think after Jalen Waddle and James Conner go off the board, they're all about the same. Allen Robinson wouldn't be my guy, but I'm not going to fault anybody for taking him. Pick 59, going Darnell Mooney. Pick 62, Jalen Hurts. Let's see what kind of running back value that you got later on to take Darnell Mooney over David Montgomery. I think that's going to be the main pivot point of this entire draft, is looking at that round 5 selection to go Darnell Mooney instead of David Montgomery. And then moving beyond this, Kareem Hunt, 86, going to be a little bit rich. I probably do prefer Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even with the potential trade for Kareem Hunt. Matthew Stafford, 107. Great value on Matthew Stafford, especially with this build where you take Allen Robinson at the beginning of the 4th. Love that Stafford pick. And then Zach Ertz at the 110. I'm not a big Zach Ertz guy. Like, I honestly probably prefer passing on Zach Ertz here at the 110, grabbing Kenneth Walker instead, and then here in the 13th round, grabbing Gerald Everett or taking David Njoku at tight end. Yeah, that would be the way I would personally approach it. Jarvis, 131. I'm fine with Jarvis if you want to take him here. Robbie Anderson, 134. Herbert, 155. You needed another running back. I'd say really, in my opinion, the draft comes down to round 5 with what you did between Darnell Mooney and David Montgomery. And then also, I'm just not a big fan of Zach Ertz in that range. Derek says, are we doing another draft? How about this, guys? If we let's call it a cool 900 likes on the live stream, we are going to fire up another draft. So 900 likes on the stream. We have to hit 75 more likes on the stream. And we will fire up, I believe, a 4th draft. Yeah, it'll be our 4th draft of the night. At this point, we need a wide receiver. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Corey Davis. We still want to put ourselves in a position where we can take a 3rd quarterback. We're probably going to take a 3rd quarterback, considering some of the other wide receivers that we're going to be looking at. So we go Corey Davis here. Then we are going to be set up with the potential to take Zach Wilson at the very end of this draft, because we have Elijah Moore as well. So we could pair together that double stack between Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, and Zach Wilson. LOLG says, was at the gym, had to tune in. Waddle the GOAT. Yes, sir. Love me some Waddle here. And I'll say, what are you doing at the gym so late, my man? I could never go to the gym this late. I have to take caffeine to go to the gym, so I have to go in the morning. Swizz World says, if you take Watson, don't you have to take 3? From a median projection standpoint, 100%. But if we're trying to play for the top 1 percentile outcome, if we're trying to truly have the highest ceiling possible. I don't want to reach on a third quarterback. We'll see. We're most likely taking a third guy. We have a couple different intriguing options because remember, we can also take Jared Goff at the very end to pair up with Hawkinson. We have Abby coming out, says, really loving these live streams. Let's go to 900. Thank you so much, my man, for the support. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you so much. And luckily for us, we have a couple tight ends off the draft boards right now. I think we take Zach Wilson here. What do y'all think? We don't have anybody there in New England, so it's not like Mac Jones is that appealing. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Zach Wilson. We're going to get that double stack there with Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. Then we're going to fire up wide receivers in the last 2 rounds. Yeah, so we're going to go with the 4 running back build, a 2 tight end build. I think this is a pretty good draft. I think this is a draft that has upside and is going to be very unique at the same time. So at running back, I think we're very solid at running back. We are going to have the combination of Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins. So I know we don't necessarily have a ton of depth, but we have the top end guys. Like if one of those guys goes down, if 2 of them get injured, we're done for the season regardless. And then if we're looking at our wide receiver core, keep in mind it's the best ball format. We don't have to figure out which one of these guys is going to pop off every single week. Mike Williams, Elijah Moore, Christian Kirk, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, Jameson Williams, Corey Davis, and then we're going to fire up 2 more wide receivers in the last 2 rounds here. And then I think we do have elite level quarterback upside with Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and Zach Wilson. I feel like Watson is literally a cheat code in these drafts. Like 100%, we may have just lit our $5 on fire if Deshaun Watson is suspended for the entire season. But if Watson somehow isn't, if he actually only misses 6 weeks, he is the number 1 cheat code in these drafts right now, specifically in tournaments as well. Okay. So now we have Taysom Hill. And Cameron says, rate my team at the 107. Thank you, Cameron. I appreciate it. And let's go through. Let's pull up this draft at the 107. Diggs in the first. Y'all know I like that. Then we have Aaron Jones in the second. I like that. Josh Allen in the third. See, this is why Gabriel Davis has an ADP here in the first place, because people really do want to go through and they want to pair up Gabriel Davis in the 4th round with Allen. I'm not doing it. Even on teams where I take Josh Allen, I'm going to be taking Hollywood Brown. I'm going to be taking Deontay Johnson. I'm going to be taking them over Gabriel Davis. I know a lot of smart people are saying the exact opposite. They are fine taking Gabriel Davis in the 4th, so definitely keep that in mind. Brandon Cooks, that's fine. A.J. Dillon, I'm not a massive fan of Dillon in the 6th. Lazard, I'm not a massive fan of that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, love CEH in the 8th round. Singletary, some solid value, especially on an Allen build. Justin Fields, I like the rushing upside. I like the structure of the team. Like, I definitely think you have an optimal structure, but at the same time, just some of those players aren't necessarily guys that I personally would have taken. Okay, let's think through this. Let's go Kendrick Bourne. Yes, guys, I understand. We want David Bell in the last round. I'm going to be looking at David Bell in the last round, but at the same time, we already have so many wide receivers that are not going to be playing the beginning portion of the season, or at least not going to be producing to an elite level at the beginning portion of the season, with a combination of Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, and Jameson Williams. I think we need someone that's going to be out there running routes for us. And the majority of these drafts, you do get David Bell in the 18th round. So sadly, that's not going to be this draft. David Bell does go off the board right after us. That sucks. Maybe we just get the double stack there in Green Bay and we take Randall Cobb. Like, what's the actual shot that Randall Cobb is the starting slot wide receiver for Green Bay this year? And real quick, we are 9 likes away from getting another draft going. So please make sure you drop a like in the live stream. And if you want to join our next draft, go to the link in the live chat. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You'll get our 2022 rankings, our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, and most importantly, you'll be able to have fun, draft with us in the live stream every single night. Okay, but after this, we did hit 900 likes in the stream, so we are going to make our wide receiver selection, and then we are going to bail from this draft. Who did we take Zach Wilson before at the wide receiver position? We should have gone Sammy Watkins the last round, Jared Goff. That's what we should have done. You live and you learn. See what Derek decides to do here. I'm assuming running back. At least I would take a running back for him. I don't really care if he goes wide receiver. All these receivers are the exact same. Let's see what he does. Okay, he goes tight end. So let's go with Randall Cobb here. I don't like it. We are getting correlation with Aaron Rodgers. We just need some wide receivers that are going to draw targets. Oh, that was not my favorite draft. We've had back-to-back tough drafts here. We started off the live stream with such a hot draft. Getting Josh Jacobs in the 7th, getting Antonio Gibson in the 8th. Really liked it. But here, hopefully I'm not drafting with too many of y'all sickos again. I hate drafting with y'all. Drafting in the public lobby is so much easier. Give us a top 5 pick. Come on, please. Hell yes. Okay. Of course we're drafting right next to Derek. We draft next to Derek in every single one of these. Literally, I wish someone would go through and count how many drafts that Derek and I have been in together and how many of these drafts we've been picking neck and neck or within 2 picks. It's laughable how close we are to each other in every single one of these drafts. But regardless, pick 3, thank God. Get me away from the pick 8 hell we've been dealing with. Get me away from that nonsense. Okay, so here I'm assuming that we're just going to go ahead. We're going to get Justin Jefferson. Now, if instead we have Christian McCaffrey, we have Jonathan Taylor falling to us, I won't complain. Trust me. I'm not going to be a complainer if we get one of those elite level running backs. But let's see what they decide to do. And we can just really sit on our hands here and we have to wait. Okay, Speed Acer on the clock. Jonathan Taylor. Okay, so I'm assuming we get CMC off the board here. Yeah, CMC off the board. So we are going to go ahead. We're going to take Justin Jefferson. We made the video a couple days ago going through and talking about our updated top 12 wide receivers. A lot of people were taking Justin Jefferson over Cooper Kupp a while ago. I wasn't getting behind it, but now that we have the Matthew Stafford elbow report, I'm using it as a tiebreaker, and I'm saying, you know what? Based on the Justin Jefferson profile, he could very easily be the wide receiver 1 overall. We don't have any injury concerns over there in Minnesota, so let's just go ahead. Let's just take him at this point because you don't have the injury concerns. LOLG coming out yet again. Thank you, my man says, I love AJ. Would you trade Keenan Allen and Robert Woods for him? I'm assuming you're regarding AJ Brown. Currently, I have AJ Brown and Keenan Allen in the same exact tier in our rankings. I think it is going to be a personal preference. If you're looking at Robert Woods, it's going to depend on the format that you're playing in with his actual value and how it contributes to this trade. If you're going to play in a 12-team league where you can start up to 4 or more wide receivers, I'm going to prefer Robert Woods. If you're playing in a much shallower format, or maybe it's a 10-team league where you can only start up to 3 wide receivers, there Robert Woods doesn't matter at all, and it's just who do you prefer between AJ Brown and Keenan Allen. Okay, so now Derek says, it's true. I hack into Underdog so I can draft with Mason. Clearly, you hack into Underdog. And not only do you hack into Underdog so you can get in these drafts in the live stream, but you hack into Underdog so you can draft right next to us. How the hell does that happen every single time? But we have Najee Harris, Joe Mixon here going off the board at the 1-2 turn. It's going to be completely fine by me. Please get these guys off the board. Get DeAndre Swift off the board. Don't tease us, okay? I would love these players to make it back to us in the 2nd round, but don't let these guys last to pick 20 and have me on the edge of my seat going, oh my God, am I going to get DeAndre Swift? Am I going to get Joe Mixon? No, just get them off now. Let me look at the standard guys that we should be going with. If we were to get an Aaron Jones, I'd be over the moon, especially given the Week 17 matchup. I was inverted, goes ahead and takes T. Higgins to pair up with Stephon Diggs. Okay. So let's see what happens. Aaron Jones off the board. Yeah, it was very unrealistic to get Aaron Jones pick 22. Mark Andrews off as well. Let's see what Derek decides to do. He goes Kamara. We'll go ahead. We'll just take a wide receiver. If we get Nick Chubb on the way back around, we get Leonard Fournette on the way back around, we get Javonte Williams on the way back around, I'll be fine with any of those running backs. Be perfectly fine with any of those RBs. Tyreek Hill goes to 23. Yeah, but guys, Mike Evans is in a completely different tier of these other wide receivers for me. Like, the gap between Mike Williams and A.J. Brown is going to be significantly larger than the gap between Javonte Williams and Nick Chubb for me. I mean, if you're looking at ADP right now, I mean, we were more likely to get Nick Chubb than we were those other running backs, and I actually prefer Nick Chubb over those other running backs as well. Okay, so Chubb off the board, pick 24. A.J. Brown, 25. So we are going to get a running back. Regardless if that's Javonte Williams or Leonard Fournette, we are going to take our first running back or running back one here in the third round. Let's go ahead. Let's take Javonte Williams here in the first. I mean, as our first RB. And I didn't love Javonte Williams when he was going in the second, but I'm not going to overlook Javonte Williams in the third round. Like, realistically speaking, looking at the efficiency numbers that we had, looking at the one start that he had in the game Melvin Gordon missed last season, Javonte Williams has the upside to be a top 3 running back in fantasy. If things were to break right, I do think you would possibly need Melvin Gordon missing some time. But to go along with the bullish sentiment on Javonte Williams, if you look at the contract that Melvin Gordon got this offseason, not nearly as impressive as you would assume it would be. Okay. LOLG says, I don't love Eckler and Henry. They hit their ceiling. 100%. Austin Eckler and Derrick Henry have already hit their ceiling. But at the same time, you can't say you're not drafting Austin Eckler, you're not drafting Derrick Henry because they hit their ceiling. Because let's go through, let me pull up their exact points per game last year. Because if they go through, if they repeat the season that they had, and they don't even have to repeat it, if they give you 90% of the season that they had, they're still worth the draft pick. Like, in a PPR format, you're looking at a per game basis of Derrick Henry being the running back one. Now, of course, I'm expecting serious regression for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry averaged 24 points per game last year. That's not going to happen again. The offensive line's too bad. A.J. Brown leaving is going to hurt the efficiency of this offense. Derrick Henry's not going to average 24 points per game. But what if Derrick Henry averages 80% of that? 80% of that is 19 points per game. And that would have made Derrick Henry a top 5 running back last year. Derrick Henry would have been the running back 3. Now, if we're looking at Austin Eckler was the running back 3 if you're including Derrick Henry, the running back 2 if you're not including Derrick Henry. So Eckler, the running back 2 last year, he himself averages 21.5 points per game. If we see that dip down by, say, 15%, because maybe he has some of those touchdowns go away, as I'm expecting. He scored 20 touchdowns. He's still averaging 18 points per game. So that's why I am looking at those running backs and saying, yeah, with the Austin Eckler, with the Derrick Henry, they hit their ceiling last year, but they're still worth a draft pick if you get them at the end of the first. I think that if you're looking at that large tier of running backs, there are a lot of guys that are in the same tier for me, like Eckler, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook. They're all the same for me. It's you draft who you want. But you can't just scratch those guys off because you think they hit their ceiling. Okay, what's this hip injury we got with Deontay Johnson here? Okay, so sounds like nothing too serious. Let's go ahead. Let's take Deontay Johnson. If we're looking at Deontay Johnson, he is by far and away the last wide receiver that I think has real upside. Like, what's the realistic ceiling with Brandon Cooks, with Juju Smith-Schuster and his 1.4 yards per route run over the past 2 seasons? I think if we take Deontay Johnson, he was the wide receiver 7 last year on a points per game basis. I think he could potentially be getting a quarterback upgrade this year. He just signed that contract extension. He was drafted in 2019. Love getting me some Deontay Johnson, pick 46. Let's see what we get after this. Mahomes goes 48. So I'd imagine maybe do we get the Juju Smith-Schuster pick following this? Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster goes 49. That's something that you see commonly. Okay, Herbert off the board. My plans to go Lamar Jackson pretty much at the beginning of the 5th round in every single one of these drafts. I want to grab that elite level quarterback. I want to go ahead. I want to take Lamar. But hell, we're getting Cam Akers making it back to us on the way back around. Getting Cam Akers as a running back too in an offense that can put up a ridiculous amount of points. Let's take Akers as a running back too. We still need running back production. Sadly, we don't have the elite level quarterback. We don't have the elite level tight end at this point, but it is what it is. Okay. And real quick, guys, we are 70 likes away from hitting 1,000 likes on the live stream. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. Let's hit 1,000. And you're going to help us get recommended to some potential new viewers. That's very important because if we hit 90,000 subscribers before the season starts, we are going to get that 24-hour live stream draft going. So if you want to see that 24-hour live stream draft, it's going to be extremely important that you go down there, drop a like on our live streams, a like on every single video. Guys, just imagine me delirious. I've lost it. I've gone crazy 6 hours ago. And then I still have another 12 hours to go in live stream. Oh, dear God. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Okay, so we have DK Metcalf going to pick 57. Chris Godwin pick 56. Young Prodigy says, Mason, I want to hear your take on Sutton absolutely mossing someone in practice. I saw the video. It was very sad that Courtland Sutton wasn't able to generate separation. Very sad that the defenders draped all over Courtland Sutton, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Maybe one day he'll learn. LOLG says, Mason, did you see Sutton's catch today? Yeah, we just discussed that. Okay, so now we have Dobbins at 58 and Kyler Murray at 59. And obviously I'm joking there with Sutton, guys. Very impressive catch. Darnell Mooney goes at pick 60. And with Sutton, I'm fine with where he's drafted if you're getting him at the beginning of the 4th round in drafts now. Now, personally, I have him ranked as a pick that should, in my opinion, go at the 4 or 5 turn. And I was adamantly against Courtland Sutton when he had the ADP of wide receiver 16 before Tim Patrick got injured. But once Tim Patrick goes down, it is a different scenario where Sutton is not nearly as egregiously overvalued as he previously was. So I'm not going to be jumping up and down to draft Courtland Sutton. Like, I have him ranked as a late 4th round, early 5th round pick for everybody who's seen our updated draft guide. But it's not like I'm going to come out here and make videos nonstop after a Tim Patrick injury that you need to be fading Courtland Sutton in fantasy because the entire situation has completely changed. Okay, so now we have Elijah Mitchell going 64. David Montgomery 65. Let's pull this back around. Based on the trends that we've seen in drafts tonight, I think if Jacobs were to fall to us to pick 70, we probably pass on him, see if we can get him back in the 7th. Derek says, yeah, I'm a clown for taking Lamar, LOL. Are you trolling? Did someone in the chat say that or something? Obviously, the Lamar Jackson pick is fantastic. But, yeah, let's go Dylan. I'm taking Dylan here. I previously was taking Josh Jacobs. Like, I was taking Jacobs, but just looking at how ADP is trending right now, I've already drafted so much Josh Jacobs, and all of a sudden, this is now a running back that we're going to be able to get in the 7th round. So there's a chance if we take Dylan here at pick 70, we're still able to get Josh Jacobs at pick 75. So let's see what happens. And Speed Acer on the clock. Let's see if they decide to go Josh Jacobs. I don't want to queue up exactly how we would have this board right now because I don't want people sniping us. Yeah, Jacobs goes 72. Okay, please get us our guy. Get us our guy. Lance is already off the board. Where did Lance go? Trey Lance goes to I was inverted at pick 66. Okay, Derek, I can't see what you're referring to in the chat. I'm assuming someone said something idiotic. But Dalton Schultz goes to 73. Okay, good. We are going to get one of these wide receivers in either Adam Thielen or Devonta Smith. I was really hoping that we saw Dalton Schultz go so we can add in one of these 4th receivers. I would prefer Adam Thielen because we have Justin Jefferson on this team, so it's going to be an intriguing play to go through, and it's going to be probably advantageous for us to now take Kirk Cousins at or before his ADP because, hell, looks like we are going to be one of so many teams that go through and make that bet on the Minnesota Vikings passing offense because it's an easy bet to make with the coaching change, with the elite level wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, and with Adam Thielen being drafted later than he's been drafted in a very long time. This is the latest that I really ever remember seeing Adam Thielen get drafted. But now, after we take these players, obviously we're really wanting some of these quarterbacks to make it back around to us at the end of the 8th round, the beginning of the 9th round. I'd be fine with a Hawkinson. There are so many different options, but we are good at running back. We have Javonte, Cam Akers, and A.J. Dillon. Wide receiver, we have, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, as well as Adam Thielen. So I think we're in a pretty good spot. Russell Wilson goes pick 81. Hugh says, what's the best spot to draft? Is it pick 12? My opinion, best spot to draft, pick 5, pick 4, pick 3. As long as I have a top 5 pick, to be honest. I think there's that clear tier of 5 guys. After Jamar Chase, you're in no man's land for about 12 picks. I'm sorry, not 12 picks. About 6 or 7 picks. Now, Dak Prescott goes 82. Dak Prescott has been a quarterback that you'll occasionally see fall way beyond his ADP. You'll see Dak Prescott fall into, the 9th round past pick 100. Derek says his favorite spot is pick 3. Interesting. I feel like 3, 4, and 5 are all the same, in my opinion. Unless you think that Jamar Chase isn't the same caliber of Jefferson or Cooper Kupp. I understand that argument, but still, it is intriguing. Okay, Miles Sanders goes 85. Joe Burrow makes it all the way to pick 84 here. You have Trey Lance at 66 and Joe Burrow at 84. Hunter Renfrow directly after. So it looks like there are no big fallers at this point. Hawkinson goes. Hawkinson was going to be one of those guys that we are keeping our eyes open for. At this point, I think we're probably going to end up with a running back on the way back around. We're 6 picks away here. If Brady made it, we take Tom Brady. We took Mike Evans. That's going to be a no-brainer. I'm going to queue up exactly how we'd have this, but based on us just looking 6 picks into the future, I'm imagining we're drafting a running back. Derek says 3 because you randomly get CMC or Taylor there. I feel like it's happened less lately. Maybe I've just been in the wrong drafts over the past week. But Derek, I know you've been drafting all offseason. Do you feel like about 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was common to get one of those running backs there, and now nobody's passing on CMC? In that $500 draft I did, people were still passing on CMC at that time. I got CMC at the 104. Okay, so Prince on the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. They go Kareem Hunt, Chris Olave off the board. Never mind. I guess we aren't drafting a running back. Our running backs that we were going to be looking at were CEH, Chase Edmonds, Kareem Hunt. Our top 4 players available all go off the board. I'm not taking Rashad Penny here. Maybe we take Penny on the way back around in the 9th, but we're not taking Penny here. We're going to go Sky Moore. Sky Moore and Marcus Valdes-Scantling have been going back and forth in ADP. This is a team where we have no rookies. We have no production specifically backloaded for weeks 15, 16, and 17. So I think Sky Moore is going to be the fine selection. Maybe if we took some rookies early on, maybe if we took, say, a Drake London and a DeAndre Hopkins, we needed production at the beginning of the season there. In that environment, we go with the Marcus Valdes-Scantling. Try to figure out. I guess you could make the argument, take Stafford here. He somewhat correlates with Akers. We desperately need a quarterback. But in reality, I'm not dying to do that. I think we'd rather just get Kirk Cousins on the way back around. Derek says he's going CMC at 1 every time. On Underdog, I can't get into it. If it was a full PPR format, then maybe I would be a little bit more interested. But I would say it's in the range of outcomes. It's possible for Taylor to go out there and average 25, 26 points per game as well. Imagine if something were to occur to Nyheim Hines and those 4 targets a game going to Hines last year, all of a sudden go to Jonathan Taylor. Taylor has it in his range of outcomes to break fantasy football as well. Damian Harris off the board. What the hell do we do? I am not a big Penny guy. I'm not going to take Rashad Penny. I know most people probably want us to take Penny here. Sit here and think on this for a second. We're going to go Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert has in his range of outcomes based on the talent profile, based on the splits with and without Zach Ertz. I think that he does break the mold, and I think he does have the upside to be a top 3 tight end in fantasy. Now, what it would probably take for him to truly access that elite level ceiling, we would probably need to see an injury to either Devonta Smith or AJ Brown. Like, something would have to change in this situation. Of course, if you just look at the target projections for these guys, if you look at the target total poll, it's going to be so damn hard for Devonta Smith to go out there and take a step back so far with AJ Brown in this offense that it allows AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert to be league-winning players. So we're taking Goddard here, saying he's an elite level talent. If something changes in the situation, he could be the guy that gets you there in weeks 15, 16, 17. I truly don't know, though. Just because I hate taking Penny. I don't think Penny's the starter. I don't think Penny's a future down running back by the time we get to week 6. So why the hell am I drafting him in a league where weeks 15, 16, and 17 matter so much? I don't know. A private draft, we go Penny. Tournament draft, we go Goddard. And real quick, guys, we are 15 likes away from 1,000 likes on the stream. So thank you so much. I'd imagine we had 1,000 likes on the stream relatively soon. We are about to hit 74,000 subscribers on the channel as well. So we are well on our way. I believe we've gained 600, 700 subscribers today or yesterday, whenever it was. So at this rate, we are getting to 90,000 subs before the season. Hopefully we get that 24-hour live stream draft marathon going. So if you have not already, drop that like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to draft with us sometime soon, if you want to draft with us on these live streams that we do every single night, make sure you go to the link in the live chat, the link in the description of the video. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will get our 2022 rankings, our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, and you'll, most importantly, get to have some fun, get to draft with us here on the live stream. Okay. So now we have Jalen Tolbert going to pick 111. Tolbert wouldn't have been someone I was looking at 118 regardless. Even if I wanted to go with a wide receiver here, I wouldn't have been taking Tolbert. Okay, so let's pull this back around. Singletary has been a player falling a ton in these drafts. Devin Singletary at one point was sneaking his way into being a top 100 pick in ADP. I need to pull up that RotoViz tracker and look at the graph of Devin Singletary's ADP because he had that rise and has fallen right back down. Okay, so Melvin Gordon, I'm assuming we have a 0% chance to take Melvin Gordon because Derek will take Melvin Gordon if he's there. Like, I know Derek, he's going to go Melvin Gordon. We're probably going to end up going Kirk Cousins. He goes Rondale Moore. Okay, guys. We are rolling the dice here, okay? These are the dice. We're warming up. We're about to roll them. It would make no sense for the teams behind us to go with Kirk Cousins. They have Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, and they have no Minnesota Viking pass catcher. It would make legitimately no sense whatsoever for them to go Cousins. So let's take Melvin Gordon, who in my opinion is a clear tier ahead of every other player that you're going to see after this pick. And let's see Kirk Cousins go off the board at pick 120 to a team that, why are you even taking Cousins here? Like, realistically speaking, how does that work out for you? But now that we're on the clock, let's try to calm down, figure out what we want. What's this report on Dameon Pierce? Just the same lead back report. What do we want? What do we want? F it. Let's take a quarterback that has access to rushing upside. We're going to have to draft 3 quarterbacks. We're going to have to draft 3 regardless. Sucks that we didn't get Kirk Cousins on the way back around. Honestly, I 100% stand by my play. That's what we would do in every single one of these drafts. I think Melvin Gordon is easily the right selection. But I don't know. Derek, let me know in the live chat. Why did you decide to pass on Melvin Gordon there? If y'all don't know, Derek will take Melvin Gordon before his ADP. I've never seen him take Rondale Moore there before Melgo. LOLG says, if Sutton finishes as a top 10 wide receiver, buy his jersey. My man, I already said I'm going to. If Courtland Sutton finishes as a top 10 wide receiver, I'm not only buying his jersey, but I'm hanging it up in the studio where I have to stare at it every single day. I will have to look at it every single day. I thought it was very, very, very unlikely while Tim Patrick was healthy. Now that Tim Patrick is out for the year, I think it's Not the craziest thing in the world to see Courtland Sutton become a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Now we have Devontae Parker, pick 129. Alexander Madison goes 128. At this point, I think we're probably closing in on being done at the running back position. I mean, our running back core is pretty solid. I actually kind of like the combination of Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, and that they'll both get touches on a week-to-week basis. I think it could represent the ability to sneak one of these guys into the fantasy football tournament, that large field contest weeks 15, 16, and 17. If an injury occurs, which knocks one of these guys out for the beginning portion of the season or at some point, yada, yada, yada. We've already explained that before. And if we're looking at our other running backs, Cam Akers, A.J. Dillon, great running back core. Wide receivers, Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, Sky Moore. I think we have a very good wide receiver core. We have a solid tight end in Dallas Goedert. We'll get another good tight end on the way back around here in the 12th. We'll figure it out. Okay. Let's scroll this down. 135, KJ Osborne. What is up with KJ Osborne? 135. I feel like to take Osborne over Gallup is so hard. Like, Gallup can truly become that league-winning player down the stretch. Now, Jacoby Myers goes 137. I'm almost locked in to taking a tight end here. Like, I love this range of guys like Gesicki, Alberto, and Hunter Henry. And now Jahan Dotson goes 139. Tua goes 140. We weren't taking Tua. We didn't take Tyreek Hill. We didn't take Chase Edmonds. We didn't take Jalen Waddle, so we don't take Tua. So we are going to get either Gesicki or Alberto here. Let's see what Derek decides to do. Alberto and Gesicki have the same ADP. That is very interesting. I mean, in my opinion, I prefer Gesicki, and it's not even going to be close. Very surprising to see that Alberto and Gesicki now have identical ADPs. Cameron says we hit 1,000 likes. That's awesome, guys. Thank you all so much for all the support. Y'all know I appreciate you. And now, after we take Gesicki, I think we are going to be looking not at quarterback. I mean, why the hell would we go quarterback here with Lawrence? Quarterbacks that we can target a little bit later on. We can be looking at maybe a Deontay Johnson pairing with Kenny Pickett in the last round for weeks 15, 16, 17. Outside of that, I don't know. I do not know, ladies and gentlemen. Jameson Williams goes 145. I think we're probably going to end up taking Rojo here. Yeah, I think we go Rojo. Daniel Jones off the board. Let me sit here and think just for a second. Yeah, I like the idea of taking Ronald Jones, a running back that should have a role on a week-to-week basis. Maybe pops into our starting lineup randomly if he can score 2 touchdowns in any random week and has upside for more if Clyde Edwards-Helaire were to go down. I think across the board, these Kansas City Chiefs values are pretty appealing. I'm going to continue to try to grab as many of these Kansas City Chiefs and build up our portfolio of this Chiefs offense in as many of these drafts as I can. So let's take Ronald Jones 147, and we're going to be fine at that. Guys, my thoughts on Team 5. It's the worst team I've ever seen drafted in my entire life. Should not even be called a fantasy football team. Oh, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Okay, now Hunter Henry goes 152. After we take Gesicki, we're done at tight end as well. It's good for us to see these tight ends go off the board. The worst thing to see is these quarterbacks. Winston goes 149. Lawrence goes 151. Not great for us. Not necessarily that I wanted those two quarterbacks, but when those two guys go off the board, then all of a sudden, it's more likely that these other quarterbacks start to slide up. Okay, so let's go through. Let's scroll to the very top of this board. If we're going to be looking at this, trying to find out some standout values here, I mean, I would say the Aaron Jones-Eckler start is very appealing. I don't necessarily understand why you go Josh Allen there at pick 30 rather than just grabbing one of the wide receiver values. Or, you know what? Leonard Fournette falls to 32. Look at that team at pick 8 where they were able to start Derrick Henry, Deebo Samuel, Leonard Fournette through the first 3. What I would have loved to see, like, imagine this start from the team at 6. Eckler, Aaron Jones, Fournette, and then either your choice of Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson, then Godwin in the 5th, Hopkins in the 6th, or probably London. And then in the 7th, you go Ayuk and just slam those wide receivers in the middle rounds. I would have loved that Leonard Fournette 3rd round value, but dear God, we have a lot of quarterbacks off draft boards. Luckily, we have some tight ends as well. Maybe we had a wide receiver making it back to us that we like. Okay, let's sit here and think for a second. Wan'Dale's probably the pick, right? Going through and looking across the board, we still need to bring in some more wide receivers. We're going to be drafting 3 quarterbacks, probably only 5 running backs, probably only 2 tight ends. So then we can get up to 9 wide receivers if we would like. I don't know if it's necessary when we took the combination of Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen. But let's take Wan'Dale here. Randy, my man, you do not have my phone number. What are you talking about? How am I ignoring your text? Okay, this is just slander in the chat. Let's go through. Let's scroll this down. Who the hell is that Randy guy? I'm assuming another Fantasy Football Channel burner account. Okay, Will Fuller goes 168. Gucci Man says it's because you won't look at Team 5. Of course, I'm not looking at Team 5 when 20 people in the chat are spamming look at Team 5 and ruining the chat for everyone. Okay, so Will Fuller goes 168. God, I feel like we're stuck in no man's land here. I guess you can go Mac Jones. I guess we can go Mac Jones because we can get Kendrick Bourne in the 16th. If we don't get Kendrick Bourne in the 16th, we can get Tyquan Thornton in the 18th. You know what? I don't even think I want to do that. Why would I do that when we can just... What was the Paris Campbell report? Oh, okay. For the love of God, I am not going to be drafting. If this is the report we're getting with Paris Campbell, that he's noticing some hamstring tightness, oh no. Paris Campbell's not the guy that we want that from. We're going to go ahead and instead we'll draft Van Jefferson. We're going to pray to God that we have some quarterbacks that we like on the way back around. We already talked about potentially grabbing Kenny Pickett in the 18th. Let's take Van Jefferson. Yes, dealing with that knee injury. Yes, have to have surgery. Yes. Reports are saying he'll be back by the start of the year. Maybe he's back by week 2, week 3, misses a week. I think we'll take the ADP discount. I think we will go ahead. We'll bolster this wide receiver core. Get someone that has a spike week upside and a very good passing offense. Luke, thank you so much, my man, in the chat. I see you. I appreciate you. Nate says, my man was destroying my selections at pick 6. I just would say, like, if you're drafting in the context of this overall entire tournament, right? And you're looking at your team from pick 6, you had such a great opportunity, like an unbelievable opportunity to do something that probably nobody had done before, to take the combo of Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, and Leonard Fournette. Like, imagine those 3 players starting off your draft. That is just absolutely ridiculous. So I would say, like, when you're looking at that possibility, you may just have to go through and take advantage of the opportunity given for you. Like, maybe I'm salty that I didn't get the chance to do it. But in another draft, you could have taken Josh Allen there. And this one, I mean, this was like the only opportunity to take Leonard Fournette, pick 30, and pair him up with Eckler and Aaron Jones. Okay, let's scroll this down real quick. Barber Shack says, should have taken Hunter Henry instead of Ronald Jones and then taken Mac Jones. Yeah, I would say if we knew that we were going to be just completely off these quarterbacks here and we were going to be boxed out, what we should have done is we should have avoided Gesicki, gone wide receiver with the pick, and then gotten Hunter Henry over Rojo, and then taken Mac Jones here. Hindsight's 20/20, but I agree. That's what we should have done. Now, at this point, what can we do? Donovan Peoples-Jones off the board, 185. Zamir White, 186. Good. Get Zamir White off. We're done with these running backs. Okay. What are we even wanting here? Okay, so I'm assuming... I do not like this team. I think we made a mistake. We definitely made a mistake. What we should have done is we should have taken Mac Jones in the last round, Kendrick Bourne in this one. But we're going to have to take Zach Wilson here. We just need some quarterback production. This is a bad team, guys. 100% this is a bad team. This is the worst way to end this live stream. But it is what it is. What we can do is queue up a quarterback here. We're probably going to take either Tannehill or Goff. Then either get a wide receiver in the last round, or if we don't want to take a quarterback here, you know what? I think we have to probably take a receiver in this round and then follow it up with, no, let's just take a quarterback, take a wide receiver in the last, and cry ourselves to sleep tonight because this last team was not it. This last team was not it. But let me show this entire draft board real quick before we log off. We are going to take one more quarterback. We're going to take one more wide receiver. I don't know exactly who it is, but this team is almost dead regardless. But if you want to see a great team, go and look at the team at the very beginning of the live stream. We did draft a juggernaut this stream. So you're going to have your good ones. You're going to have your bad ones. Hopefully you're able to see this entire draft board. But thank you all so much, of course, for hanging out with us yet again on another successful live stream. Again, I appreciate all of y'all. We got 1,000 likes on the stream. That is crazy to think about. And we're going to continue to do these live streams every single night. If you want to join our next draft, make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. And most importantly, you can have some fun with us on the live stream tomorrow night. But thank you again. I appreciate y'all. And I hope we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow.